Hello. Now, there is a massive audio drone in this, so hello. Hope everyone can hear me. I think this is just louder than most of the stuff actually in game, but we will see how that goes. And if it does get to the point where it's drowning me out, please let me know in the chat and I will fix it. I'll mess with the settings or something. Shouldn't be much of a problem long term. In any case, I was, thanks to you guys, thank you very much, I was able to get all of the DLC for Mass Effect 2, so we are going to be going through that as it appears. We will probably not get to any or nearly any of that content tonight. Just to start off, there is a pretty substantial pair of introduction missions that we will probably get through tonight, though. So we'll probably get through the very beginning. Well, there's a prologue in addition to that, which I'm not going to spoil anything. Kylie, I know you don't know anything about the story of this, so I will refrain from that. There is a massive twist within the first 10 minutes. Then things go neat. The storyline changes pretty significantly. So we'll see. We'll see once we get closer to that, and we'll see what's going on. We also have to re-import our old character. And I waited to do that for when everybody was on stream, so I could talk as we go. Import any one character. Nope. Oh, wait a minute. This one. There we go. And we're getting started. Here we go, 9 o'clock sharp, perfect time. So, hi everybody. Grab something really quick. There. That's important. Yeah, let's just do normal for now because I'm very bad at playing while talking. Subtitle, yeah, you guys need to see stuff. Yeah, all that sounds good. Wait, what? Name. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's great. If we recall, Rex survived. Now, if you're not sure what's up with this, you could have. So when Rex pulls a shotgun on you, if you recall on Vermeire, when we were about to go take out Saren's cloning facility, you can shoot him instead of talking him down off a ledge. So this game the rest of the series can play out entirely without Rex at all, which incredibly changes things. Kylie says I was watching a new anime called Dragon Prince. The graphics are sort of similar to this, more woodlandy. Similar to this, huh? That's odd. Dragon Prince I know is made by a lot of the same people behind, I think it was most of the same people from Avatar The Last Airbender. It might not have been Breik, but I know it was a lot of the people involved there were writing for Dragon Prince. I haven't seen it yet. I probably will eventually. It's on like season 3 or 4 now, isn't it? And I think it's on Netflix if I'm not mistaken. So I do want to get around to watching that eventually. So that's especially if it comes recommended. I haven't heard much about it firsthand, so I'm not sure. Missing in action. That's a really okay. Ashley Williams was killed on Vermeire. Missing in action is such a nice way of saying that. That's really softening the blow, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, if it comes recommended, I will check out. I will eventually check out Dragon Prince then. In that case, and Council was saved by Commander Shepard during the attack on the Citadel, and that should give us everything. I mean, there are other minor details, other character interactions that we had in the previous game that will get carried through, but this is the big stuff. So let's jump into it and see what happens.
Shepard did everything right, more than we could have hoped for. Saving the Citadel, even saving the Council, humanity has the trust of the entire galaxy. And still, it's not enough.
Our sacrifices have earned the Council's gratitude, but Shepard remains our best hope.
But they're sending her to fight Geth. Geth. We both know they're not the real threat. The Reapers are still out there.
And it's up to us to stop them.
The Council will never trust Cerberus. They'll never accept our help, even after everything humanity has accomplished. But Shepard, they'll follow her. She's a hero, bloody icon.
Max Cancer, I'm not sure who you are.
But she's just one woman.
Hello, Max. Good to see you.
If we lose Shepard, humanity might not follow.
Yes, it is the butt character. It's a long story.
Then see to it that we don't lose her.
Kylie says Geth Who. Yeah, Geth Who is a very, very common trope in this game. There are a lot of twists in returning people. Alright, so 1 month after the devastating attack on the Citadel, the galactic community struggles to rebuild. The Alliance fleet has made tremendous sacrifice to save the Citadel Council and earn humanity membership in the prestigious group. Now the Council is forced to respond. Darn it. Hopefully you guys could have read that in time. Basically, long story short, the Council is focused on the Geth rather than on what Shepard has been talking about, rather than the Reapers. And so they are sending Shepard as a Spectre to go and handle Geth rather than investigating further into the Reapers. Further into the
Mission
Reapers.
sync's active. Board is green. We are running silent.
We're wasting our time.
Yes, Max, I
4
know.
days searching up and
definitely
down
know
this
the
sector, and we
shits.
haven't found any sign of Geth activity.
3 ships went missing here in the past month.
We'll find him
Something
eventually.
happened to them.
My money's on slavers. The Terminus system is crawling with them.
Picking up something on the long-range scanner. Unidentified vessel. Looks like a cruiser.
Doesn't match any known signatures.
Cruiser is changing course. Now on intercept trajectory.
Can't be. Stealth systems are engaged. There's no way a Geth ship could possibly...
It's not the Geth. Brace for evasive maneuvers!
Presley!
Kinetic barriers down! Multiple hull breaches! Weapons offline! Somebody get that fire out!
Distress beacon is ready for launch.
Will the Alliance get here in time?
I'm not doing this just so they can find our frozen corpses. Get everyone onto the escape shuttles.
Joker's still in the cockpit. He won't abandon ship. I'm not leaving either.
I need you to get the crew onto the evac shuttles. I'll take care of Joker.
Commander!
Caden, go! Now.
Aye, aye.
Yeah, the
Everybody
Wilhelm
in.
stream is
Go,
always
go,
a
go.
little bit immersion breaking just because of this. It's obvious.
Mayday! 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 There's a Delta train orbiting! We've suffered heavy damage from an unknown enemy! Come on, baby, hold together. Hold together!
Well, this is a very bad sign. Oh yeah, Max says you can get Liara in Caden's place. I don't know how. It depends on your romance from Mass Effect 1. If it'll be your canon romance, but if your canon romance is either dead or you didn't romance anyone, I think it defaults to your human squad mate. I think. I could be wrong about that. It might default to Liara.
Come on, Joker. We have to get out of here.
No, I won't abandon the Normandy. I can still save her.
The Normandy's lost. Going down with the ship won't change that.
Yeah, okay. Help me up.
I love the shield helmet.
They're coming around for another attack. Watch the arm!
Yeah, I agree. Max says one of the most terrifying things to imagine is floating around in empty space. Yeah, especially if you have no reason to think that you will ever make it back out, or anyone's coming to rescue you, or even if you're heading towards re-entry. Because if you're heading towards re-entry, or if your suit sprung a leak like this, there's an end in sight. If you're just floating, that's horrifying.
Commander Shepard has been recovered. The Lazarus Project will proceed as planned.
Okay, so the recovered Shepard, which we know at this point is, let's go with, no, let's just go with the default, just because we did the default in the first game, it just looks slightly different this time, so, she got a tan upon reconstruction. And let's still go with Sentinel. I really do like Sentinel. It's a little difficult this game because you do not have much of a weapon selection, but it is still one of the most versatile builds, and it's incredibly durable now in 2 and 3. Oh, right, this. Wait a minute, let me think about this, because, let me go back. Hold on. I have to think about this. I forget what I should go with. I have to take out throw war of critical blast. Okay, I can deal with barriers, deal with shields. Okay, I can actually pretty much deal with it. This is actually a weirdly hard decision. Erica says her eye color changed too because you were using Kira, not default. I was using the default in ME1. It's just when you import it, because they slightly changed the character design, if you go with the default, the default in each game is slightly different than the default in previous for various minor little tweaks. So if you purely... that's actually a good point. That's one of the... Shredder or... actually, let's do warp ammo, because I'm biotic. Yeah, that'll work. Let's do warp ammo. I will usually use... honestly, I'll usually use Energy Drain or Reeve to recharge my barriers, but... let's go with warp ammo. I mean, she still has green eyes. It's just... they're not as, bright, vibrant green. They're more like muted human green. Alright. Yeah, so that is the other thing. So Max says energy drain. Should have energy drain your last run, but it's useless with overload. Very true. Very true. So, except for, I guess, independent cooldowns, but whatever. Yeah, also, Shepard looked wildly different in ME3. Honestly, I think it's overall an improvement, but... yeah, I don't know. It also just could be the video settings on what we're each watching it on that could also be different, and even just the different difference on the stream. Speaking of which, I have to mess with my graphic settings. I'm getting really wide face on mine. It's probably because of the bars. Yeah, it's on weird bars. Alright, that'll work. Oh, to answer the question that you sent me directly, personally,
she's reacting to outside stimuli.
I have made a Mass Effect D20. But I don't know of a default one.
I think she's waking up.
I don't know of a pre-made one.
Damn it, Fulton. She's not ready yet. Give her the sedative. Shepard, don't try to move. Just lie still. Try to stay calm.
Heart rate's still climbing. Brain activity is off the charts. Stats pushing into the red zone. It's not working.
Another dose. Now.
Heart rate dropping. Stats falling back into normal range. That was too close. We almost lost her.
I told you your estimates were off. Run the numbers again.
Wake up, Commander. Shepard, do you hear me? Get out of that bed now. This facility is under attack. Shepard, your scars aren't healed, but I need you to get moving. This facility is under attack. There's a pistol in the locker on the other side of the room. Hurry!
Right. So this is the elevator.
Grab the pistol and armor from the locker. You don't have time to wait around, Shepard. Grab your weapon and armor.
Hey, armor miss.
This pistol doesn't have a thermal clip.
It's a med bay. We'll get you a clip from. Keep your head down, Shepard. Shield yourself from the blast. Someone's hacking security trying to kill you. Look for a thermal clip for your pistol.
This game has a big issue with everything being mapped to one
Looks
key.
like they set up a barricade
Basically,
to try
everything
holding
is
the
mapped on the
mix
spacebar.
Look out!
Combat.
Oh, let me do my powers because I have some of these. Let me see. Let's do it. That'll do. Okay.
Keep moving, we need to get to the shuttles.
Oh wow, that was easy. Okay, anyway, moving on.
Shepard,
Max says something that does annoy me in ME3 multiplayer is the spacebar being used for everything. Yeah, absolutely. And in that one, it's everything. It's even interactions. Oops. Wait, what? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, I need to do something about that. That's good. That was interesting. Okay, so I think what just happened was my mouse left the screen. You know how? I'm in full screen. I'm going to make sure that doesn't continue to happen. Anyway, it should be fine. I'll just keep an eye on it. Yeah, I do have to say, they did vastly improve the controls from Mass Effect 2 to Mass Effect 3. Powers and everything as well. Like, the snappiness of the powers works so much better in 3 than it does in 2. Everything feels kind of sluggish in 2.
Don't waste time. I can't keep the mix distracted for long. More reinforcements. Here come the mechs. Use the grenade launcher to take them out.
We've been spotted.
Alright, nice.
Take the elevator down 1 floor.
Okay.
Hurry! Get to the door! Run! You're doing great, Shep. Head to the next room and I'll try to meet you. Shepard, read me. I've got men closing in on my position.
Okay, so.
Unit hostile forces have been offline.
This is all data on the Lazarus Project, which has completely to do with bringing Shepard back.
Progress is slow, but subject shows signs of recovery. Major organs are again functional, and there are signs of rudimentary neurological activity. In an effort to accelerate the process, we've moved from simple organic reconstruction of the subject to biosynthetic fusion. Initial results show promise.
So, to clarify, she was at least brain dead and not in very good shape. And then also using biosynthetic fusion means cybernetics.
Progress is slow,
okay,
but subject shows signs of recovery. Major organs are again functional, and there are signs of rudimentary neurological activity.
Alright. I don't remember all the patterns.
Simple organic reconstruction of the subject.
Yep. Nope, not that one. Darn it. Try again. Alright. These two. These two. There we go. Okay. Yeah, these are... I forgot how these work. There's patterns to all of them. I forgot what they were. So anyway, yeah, so Shepard was, at the very least, brain dead. And so with no neurological activity. And then further... was incredibly torn to pieces bodily. Which really raises all sorts of questions moving forward about like biological continuity and that sort of thing, which is probably going to be one of the major topics that we cover as we go through. It's also important.
Log update. The cost of this project is astronomical. Over 4 billion credits so far. But nobody seems to care that we've gone over budget. I don't know where the boss gets all this money. Maybe it's better not to know. I just wish he'd kick a little more in my direction once in a while.
Yeah, so the funny thing about the boss is the Elusive Man, played by, I cannot remember the actor's name right now, Martin Sheen. That's it, Martin Sheen. Uh-oh.
Log update. I keep it out. As project director, she should be ecstatic at all the progress we've made. But she's still the same old Ice Queen. Maybe she's worried Shepard might become the new favorite.
Also, worth noting, if at any point I'm being drowned out by game audio, please let me know. It is pretty loud in my ears.
What the hell? Step here! What are you doing here? I thought you were still a work in progress.
Are you with Miranda?
Yeah, sorry. I forgot this is all new to you right now. I'm Jacob Taylor. I've been stationed here for...
Hostiles detected.
Damn it! Things must be worse than I thought if Miranda's got you running around. I'll fill you in, but we better get you to the shuttle first.
I know this isn't the best time, but I'm sick of stumbling around when I don't know what's going on.
Fair enough. I'll give you the quick version. You and your ship were attacked and destroyed. You were killed. Dead as dead can be when they brought you here. Our scientists spent the last 2 years putting you back together. You've been comatose, or worse, that whole time. Welcome back to your life.
I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this.
Yeah, I can imagine. The Alliance officially declared you killed in action. The whole galaxy thinks you're dead. And if we don't get to those shuttles, they'll be right.
So yeah, dead. At least clinically dead. This raises all sorts of fascinating metaphysical questions that we're not going to stop talking about through most of this game. Let me really quick, while I'm in between things, turn down game audio just a little bit. Let's try just that. That's down a little bit. That hopefully will make a difference. If it's still a little too loud, if it still winds up being a little too loud, yeah, I just turned up my voice, so you guys know, my voice is all the way up, and I'm just going to be fiddling with the game audio, up or down. Hopefully this is a little bit better. I do know that in missions it's really loud, this game tends to be, so if it's too much still, just feel free to let me know, and I'll fiddle with it. If that was enough, let me know. Otherwise I can always turn it down a little bit more. No? Let me turn it down a bunch. It's better too quiet than too loud, I think. Here, turn it down pretty significantly this time. Alright. If this is still, if it's still too much, I'll go back into it next conversation bit, but let's see what they have to say here. Because naturally, Shepard would be absolutely concerned about it now.
Were there any other survivors from the Normandy?
I'll tell you what. You help me finish off these mechs, and I'll play 20 questions with you all day. We're low on thermal clips, but I'm a biotic. Just give the order when you want me to hit him with the good stuff.
We're really not. Let's pull that one.
Falling back.
There we go.
Okay. I promised I'd answer your questions. What do you want to know?
All right. So, a couple of things while we're just kind of paused here. Like I said, the significance of Shepard's injuries and even apparently clinical death raises all sorts of issues with personal continuity. Like, is this the same person? Is this actually Shepard? It's implied that the obvious answer is yes. They do wind up questioning it a little bit later on in the third game, but it's definitely worth considering for our purposes. Definitely. There's also some other things that this brings up as well, including like changing loyalties and that sort of thing. Does she owe Cerberus now for having brought her back and all of that? Which her loyalty winds up being another question that goes through the rest of this game, and even a little bit in the next one. It's questioned a few times. Another minor note is the Elusive Man, the guy from the cutscene right at the beginning, or I guess right after the Normandy blows up. The guy in the chair, the Elusive Man, leader of Cerberus, is one of the best characters, especially from an acting point of view, in the entire series. One of my favorites, if nothing else. And little pet theory or fun little thing I've noticed is all of the voiceover work that Martin Sheen does, the same voice actor, He does a lot of voiceover work, including if you're familiar with the Eyewitness series. It was based on the Eyewitness books. This was big in like the 90s. It was really big when I was growing up, so I grew up like watching these like little documentaries. And the American version of it is voiced by Martin Sheen, and it's all about the natural environment and the development of life and everything on Earth. So I like to just kind of think of this as it's the Elusive Man putting out propaganda videos about how cool Earth is. If you haven't seen them, they basically the entire series is on YouTube. So just look up the Eyewitness American version. I'll see if I can put a playlist. I'll put a playlist in the description when we're done. Because it is a genuinely good documentary series that I loved growing up. But also, it's fun with a spectacular voice artist like Martin Sheen. Anyway, so let's see if we can find out more details about this one.
You said they spent 2 years rebuilding me. How bad were my injuries?
I'm no doctor, but it was bad. When I first saw you, you were nothing but meat and tubes. Anywhere else, they'd have put you in a coffin. But Project Lazarus was different. Cutting-edge technology.
What do you mean, cloning? Cybernetics?
I don't know the details. You'd have to ask the scientists. But I'm pretty sure you're not a clone. They wanted to bring you back exactly as you were. You're still you. You just might have a few extra bits and pieces now.
Yeah. Max says, by the way, played Overlord DLC for the first time the other day, and the last scene was probably one of the most disturbing images I've ever seen. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I have, like I said, I've not played it, but I have seen it. I've watched streams of it before. And yeah, it is deeply disturbing, and it really puts a little more context into some of the more disturbing things that Cerberus tends to do. If you remember Cerberus from the first game, the last interaction we had with Cerberus, they were the ones who kidnapped and murdered Admiral Kahoku, and basically left him in a shielded room with a bunch of observation equipment with a bunch of Rachni soldiers, and had them basically eat him alive. So that's the last thing we know about Cerberus, which was a rogue Alliance Black Ops group, split into a bunch of different cells with nearly unlimited funds. So that's a cool group to be working for.
Can you tell me about the project? Were there other test subjects?
Project Lazarus only had one subject. The whole point was to bring you back. Just you. Even that was a challenge. 2 years. All the top scientists. Best technology money could buy.
The last thing I remember is the Normandy blowing up. Did anyone else make it?
Just about everybody survived. A few servicemen from the lower decks didn't get out. Navigator Presley was killed by an explosion. But everyone else, including the non-Alliance crew, the Asari, Liara, and the Quarian, they all made it out alive.
Do you know what any of them are doing now?
I don't know, Commander. It's been 2 years. They've moved on. Left the Alliance. Could be anywhere.
They were my team. If they knew I was alive, they'd come back.
Maybe you can track them down after we get off the station. If we get off the station.
Yeah, that'd probably be Shepard's priority, I think.
Do you know anything about this attack? Who's behind it, what they're after?
Damned if I know. I was getting ready for some shut-eye, then bam! Bunch of explosions. Next thing I know, every damn mech in the place starts shooting at us. I'm guessing it had to be an inside job. You'd need top security access to hack all the mechs.
What's your job here?
Depends on who you ask. Technically, I'm Miranda's top lieutenant, but I'm just a soldier. I served 5 years in the Alliance before this. Now I'm in charge of the station's security. Usually a lot more dull than this. Normally I don't fire my gun unless it's target practice.
When I first woke up, someone named Miranda was talking to me over the radio. We lost contact just before I ran into you.
Miranda Lawson is the station's ranking officer. She led the Lazarus team. It was her job to bring you back to life, no matter what. Should have guessed she'd try to save you. She's not about to give up on you now. You said you lost contact. Could you tell what was happening?
There was some gunfire and an explosion right before I lost her.
She knows how to take care of herself. But I hope she's okay.
What's the quickest way to those shuttles?
Depends where the mechs are thickest. It's probably best to
Check. Anyone on this frequency? Anybody still alive out there? Hello?
Wilson, this is Jacob. I'm here with Commander Shepard. Just took out a wave of mechs over in D-Wing.
Shepard's alive? How the hell? Never mind. You need to get her out of there. Get to the service tunnels and head for the network control room.
Roger that, Wilson. Stay on this frequency.
I think I remember a Wilson checking on me one time when I woke up.
That's him. He's the chief medical tech. Answers directly to Miranda. Come on. The service tunnels are this way.
Okay.
Log update. The Lazarus Project is about to enter the final phase. It's taken nearly 2 years, but we did it. Commander Shepard is alive. This is the most amazing medical achievement in recorded history. Maybe now Miranda will finally show some appreciation for everything I've done.
Okay, so Wilson is a simp, confirmed. Which is fitting, because Miranda is, well, like Max said, the butt character.
This room is crawling with mechs.
The whole station is crawling with mechs. I'm doing the best I can.
Impact imminent. Requesting assistance.
Some of my quick slots. Uh-oh, what's happening? What? Darn it. Okay, that was interesting. I think my game crashed. Let me just make sure of that. Oh, I really hope I don't have to start over. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry about that, everybody. I got too ambitious. So, meanwhile, I was just talking about Miranda and her reputation of being the butt character. This is actually weirdly thematic with a lot having to do with the game. There's a lot of call it fan service. Oh, Kylie asked, "Can someone explain what a simp is?" I forgot that not everyone lives on the internet. So I have. She says I have a general idea, but yeah, I know it was. I'll fix it. I don't need to do that. If I just hit resume. Okay, I saved 2 minutes ago. That's fine. Great. She says, I have a general idea, but I still needed clarification. Like, is it supposed to be a negative or is it a term of endearment? Definitely a negative. It stands for... oh, God. I cannot remember the acronym. If anybody does, and if you really feel like sharing, feel free to. There, that'll work. If anyone remembers the acronym and you really would like to let everybody know, feel free to. Basically, it means the kind of guy who will who follows usually an e-girl in the hopes of eventually getting with her with no real hope. Right.
Damn it, Wilson. Crawling with mechs.
The whole station is crawling with mechs.
Hey, Wizgood. Maybe you can explain to Kylie what is this simp?
System not designed for specialized ammunition.
There we go. But I think you generally get the idea at least, and that Wilson is definitely simping for Miranda. Miranda is very much the.
Up those stairs, Shepard.
She has it and she flaunts it. Let's just say that. That's a nice way of saying it, isn't it? But he'll be fine.
Physical reconstruction of subject is complete, but we still need to evaluate all mental and neurological functions. Our orders were clear. Make Commander Shepard who she was before the explosion. The same mind, the same morals, the same personality. If we alter her identity in any way, if she's somehow not the woman she used to be, the Lazarus Project will have failed. I refuse to let that happen.
So Kylie says, for clarification, so a yes man with an end game that's not going to be possible for them. Something like that, yeah. That's the idea. the kind of person who is forever trapped in, who is, to put it in their terms, maybe forever trapped in the friend zone or even the fan zone, with no hope of ever getting out, except they still continue to try and pursue and try and make themselves feel like they're being noticed, that kind of thing. WizKid says a simp is a man in a relationship who knowingly lets someone. No, that is a cuck. WizKid, different thing. It's not what that means.
Shepard,
Kyler is
down
much
here!
closer right to being correct.
Bastards got me in the leg!
You were there the first time I regained consciousness.
Yeah, that was me. How about we talk about this after we fix my leg?
Should be some Metagel in the first aid station on the wall. Hopefully there's enough to get him up and moving again.
Grab the Metagel from the first aid station on the wall.
Okay, so there we go.
Thanks, Shepard. Never thought
Yeah,
you'd
the
save
term
my
you're
life.
thinking of, WizKid, was cuckold.
Guess
That's
that makes
slightly
us
different.
even now. I thought
They're
maybe
both
I could
used
shut down
as
the security
insults
mechs.
on the internet.
Whoever did this fried the whole system. Completely irreversible.
We didn't ask what you were doing. Why do you even have security mech clearance? You were in the bio wing.
Weren't you listening? I came here to try and fix this. Besides, I was shot. How do you explain that?
You're all strangers to me. Let's get someplace safe and then we'll sort out whose fault it is.
Right, Shepard. We need to find Miranda. We can't leave her behind.
Forget about Miranda. She was over in D-Wing. The mechs were all over that sector. There's no way she survived.
A bunch of mechs won't drop Miranda. She's alive.
Then where is she? Why haven't we heard from her? There are only two possible explanations. She's either dead, or she's a traitor.
Then why did she wake me up and warn me about the attack?
Okay, maybe she's not a traitor. But that doesn't change the facts. We're here, she's not. We need to save ourselves. The shuttle bay is only a few...
You can overload the canisters to clear a path to the shuttles.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got him!
That's it. Let's get out of here.
I'd do it, but I don't want my cooldown to
Okay,
start.
we took him down. But this is getting tense. Shepard, if I tell you who we work for, will you trust me?
This really isn't the time, Jacob.
We won't make it if she's expecting a shot in the back.
If you want to piss off the boss, it's your ass, Jacob.
The Lazarus Project, the program that rebuilt you. It's funded and controlled by Cerberus.
Yeah, so I don't see how that is supposed to endear them to her.
I wiped out my share of Cerberus projects when I was a Spectre. Back then they were trying to kill me. Why the change of heart?
Those answers are way above my pay grade. But basically, things change. The Alliance declared you dead. They gave up. Cerberus spent a fortune to bring you back. Look, I'd be suspicious too. But right now we have to work together. I thought you deserved to know what's what. Once we're off the station, I'll take you to the Elusive Man. He'll explain everything. I promise.
Elusive Man. Is he in charge of all this?
Yeah, that's not his real name, of course. Nobody knows who he really is.
It was a code name the Alliance used for him. Kinda stuck.
So there is some cool backstory on the Elusive Man. If I ever refer to him as this, it's because his name is Jack Harper. He fought in the First Contact War and came to hate Turians, and so he basically went and formed a humanocentric organization like Cerberus, which really relates to a lot of the things I've talked to before about narrow-minded humanism being effectively the same as a kind of racism, which we see with Cerberus pretty consistently here.
I don't care what his name is, he just needs to answer my questions. All of them.
He spent a lot of money and time bringing you back. I'm sure he'll be more than happy.
That is definitely one of the videos that I'm going to be working on soonish, partway through Mass Effect 2 at least. Here we go. Let's do which one's there? One of the next videos I have sort of in line to work on is is on this kind of humanism as a kind of broader racism, and comparing the Elusive Man's ideology, the ideology of Cerberus, with a lot of sort of modern secular humanists of the, right now, the early 21st century.
They've seen us.
And their ideologies are actually relatively similar. It's gonna piss me off, so I gotta switch these. No! Damn it. This happened again. Okay, so I figured out what breaks the game. And I will fix it. I will not do that again. Sorry for the black screens. I'm still learning about streaming this game, apparently. It doesn't work quite well. Apparently, if I try and switch my powers, either during combat or while they're on cooldown, the game crashes. So let's try not to do that. Let's try not to do that in the future. I'm guessing it's while they're on cooldown, but I'm not going to fiddle with it very much. Anyway, so this is the third time I'm now starting this game. Autosave, right? 44, yeah, like a minute ago, it's fine. Alright, let's try not to do that again. I'm gonna try not to do that again. I was trying to fiddle with my... I do still want to fix my my quick slots to make it more to make it a little closer to what I'm used to, but regardless, if it means crashing the game, I will try and avoid that. Alright, so what are we trying to do now? There. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay.
They've seen us.
Done. Alright, any more? So hopefully that's the last time I accidentally do that. If not, I apologize in advance, because it is entirely my fault. Now I know better. Where are you going, dude?
Warning, hostile force using non-standard ammunition.
Yeah, that's actually true. You're not wrong.
Warning. Hostile forces having.
That's not good. Hey, my tech armor exploded. Yay!
Requesting assistance.
Yeah, Max says I find ME3 glitchier than ME2 glitchier than 3, even 1 somehow. Yeah, absolutely. 1 was very carefully designed. Jeez. Oh, got them all. Overload. Let's hack our dynamite. Wait. There it is. Yeah. So there are some glitches, and that happens, unfortunately. I don't know why exactly. Bypass. Hi, Relly. The stream is doing, well enough. We've crashed the game 3 times, but other than that,
Test subject has been recovered, but the damage is far worse than we initially feared. In addition to the expected burns and internal injuries from the explosion, subject has suffered significant cellular breakdown due to long-term exposure to vacuum and sub-zero temperatures. Despite the extent of the physical trauma, Wilson assures me subject is salvageable. The Lazarus project will proceed as planned.
Yeah, so especially with Rally here, Max, your question you sent me directly about the Mass Effect D20 system. I'm not familiar with one that is actually made as a Mass Effect D20 system, but I am familiar with having basically made a Mass Effect D20 system based in the Mutants and Masterminds rule set. The Mutants and Masterminds is intended as a superhero RPG, tabletop RPG. and it uses a single D20. That's the core rule. That's all there is to it. And I basically adapted the Mass Effect powers into like superpowers and made them into power arrays and kind of things where, you know, you make push to telekinesis, or whatever, into telekinesis or whatever. And we played a good long campaign of it. We're kind of on hiatus, and he's Rally, in fact, is running a Star Wars tabletop for us right now while I'm brainstorming for ideas for a second act to our sort of second major arc. But mainly because I wrote myself into a little bit of a corner, or maybe into a way too open of a world for the second part. But long story. Essentially, we had it set after the Destroy ending of Mass Effect 3. So it was about reestablishing contact with the rest of the galaxy, and I basically had my sort of canon ending. I intended for this playthrough to be going along with those canon decisions, but then we wound up romancing Caden instead of Liara, so, you know, whatever, it's fine. For good reasons, don't get me wrong, but I love Caden, he's great. But I will also note, I'll also note that another thing I think we were talking about this a while ago. Rally says Mass Effect works pretty well in Mutants and Masterminds, much better than it would have in something else like D20. Yeah, probably. I really do think that it works quite well. It did take a lot of changes. If that is something anybody else would be interested in trying to play or trying to run, I'd be happy to send you the rules. Just let me know. I'll put that up somewhere. Maybe even on my blog. That'd be a weird thing for that, though. Yeah, it wouldn't really fit there. But if you are interested in that sort of thing, just let me know, and I'll get it to you. Or Erica will. My wife helped with a lot of the rules and a lot of that stuff. And obviously, Raleigh helped with a lot of it too. As one of my players, we were working pretty well together as a party and getting the rule set to work. I have plenty of stories having to do with that campaign that kind of tie into the actual trilogy, which I'll probably wind up talking about. And I know we were talking, Max and I were talking at some point about Garrus and Tally and how they end up together if you don't romance either of them as Shepard. And I kind of carried that through and some of the other relationships through into the tabletop, which takes place like 10 years after the end of the trilogy. So I'll probably talk about that and maybe some of these other things as we go, because I think that there's enough world building in... I'm just pausing because it's the end of the level. There's enough world building in the trilogy that you really can just sort of extrapolate to things. And you can do it with... a good degree of, maybe not certainty, but with certainly a good degree of plausibility. So let's wrap it up.
Come on, through here. We're almost at the... Miranda, but you were...
Dead.
All right.
What the hell are you doing?
My job. Wilson betrayed us all.
Even if you're sure, did he deserve that welcome?
He sabotaged the security systems, killed my staff, and he would have killed us.
You sure about that, Miranda? We've known Wilson for years. What if you're wrong?
I'm never wrong. I thought you'd have learnt that by now, Jacob.
So this is... Oh my god. This is the moment where you notice that this is not going to be like the first game in tone at all. If the first game was like a very classic... pretty grounded science fiction story, 80s in its sort of aesthetics and its mood, like 80s style, like Blade Runner kind of thing. This is without a doubt a sci-fi action movie with the stakes, with the characters, with the action all turned up way past 11. It is absolutely insane, and I don't think it makes it any better or any worse. I have my issues with the overall plot of the game. It's the actual storyline of ME2. I've kind of talked about this a little bit before. Is a little bit less intriguing than the storylines for the other two. But I love the tone. I love the characters. I love how just action movie-ish the whole thing is. Like what that Miranda just opening the door and shooting him in the head or chest, I guess, never have happened in the first game. But this is a different beast entirely. tone-wise.
You should have taken him alive, see what he knew.
Too risky. I've put too much time and effort bringing you back to life to let you get killed now.
You really think Wilson's capable of that?
Not anymore.
See what I mean?
If you say so. What's our next step?
We get on the shuttle and go. My boss wants to speak to you.
You mean the Elusive Man? I know you work for Cerberus.
Ah, Jacob. I should have known your conscience would get the better of you.
Lying to the commander isn't the way to get her to join our cause.
Well, since we're getting everything out in the open, is there anything else you want to ask before we go, Commander?
Yeah, definitely.
Where are we going?
Another Cerberus facility. The Elusive Man is waiting for you there.
No, that's a dumb question. What if I want to stay here on this destroyed station full of mechs that want to kill me? No, not a smart. No.
Convenient that you show up as we're leaving. Where were you during the attack?
Besides trying to save your life, Wilson figured out I was helping you and he sent an army of mechs to take me out. I got here as soon as I could. Probably a little too soon if you ask Wilson.
What about the rest of the people on the station?
This is the evac area. If they're not here now, they're not coming.
We can't leave without knowing for sure. We need to go back and look.
Don't you get it? The only one worth saving is you. Everyone else is expendable.
She's right. We all knew the risks when we signed up. Without you, there's no point to any of this.
Yeah, so this is one of those that there's an interesting tension here that we see repeated. Not just here. This has actually occurred in ME1 as well. Especially the what comes to mind for this? Things like the dilemma on Vermeire, where the dilemma essentially turns out to be something like all of the entire Lazarus team is working to keep Shepard alive, because as we'll find out, the Elusive Man sees Shepard as the greatest hope for humanity, and so this entire team is dedicated 100%, or close enough to 100% in the case of Wilson, to keeping Shepard alive. So that's the goal. But Shepard, because she is this paragon, this hero, this kind of person who can save humanity, she's not one to also then turn around and abandon these people who have helped her. So we're in a bit of a catch-22, right? Shepard is the goal of all of this, to get her out of here and keep her alive. But she's as likely as not, because of who she is and because of why we want to keep her alive, she's as likely as not to get herself killed trying to help the people who would gladly give their lives for her. This is part of a hero's dilemma, right? And it's a hero's dilemma we wind up continuing to see as well, especially in the next game. Especially, this comes up a lot in 3. There are a lot of people who are willing to give their lives to help you accomplish something, and you could save them, but doing so would jeopardize the mission to the extent that you wouldn't succeed. And there's a kind of neat inversion of this in the loyalty mission for Zaid Masani, if you remember that one. We'll talk about that when I get to it. If I don't think of it and you remember this, remind me, because it's a really interesting little inversion of how this trope works. But I think this is one of the difficulties in for a hero is accepting, or not just a hero, but for any virtuous person, is accepting that other people are willing to sacrifice themselves so you don't have to. And so that is a really difficult kind of thing for somebody like Shepard to embrace. What else do we have? Yeah, let's see where she's up
Convenient that
to.
you show up as we're leaving.
Oh.
Besides, Wilson figured out I was helping you and he sent an army of mechs to take me out. I got here as soon as I could. Probably a little too soon if you ask Wilson.
You're the Lazarus Project's director, aren't you?
That's right. I put 2 years of my life into this project. Into you.
What does Cerberus want from me?
Maybe you should ask the Elusive Man when you meet him. He poured virtually unlimited resources into Lazarus. Obviously, he has some kind of plan for you.
I've had enough of this station to last a lifetime.
Or 2, in your case. Come on. meet with the Elusive Man, we need to ask a few questions to evaluate your condition.
Come on, Miranda, more tests? Shepard took down those mechs without any trouble. That has to be good enough.
It's been 2 years since the attack. The Elusive Man needs to know that Shepard's personality and memories are intact. Ask the questions.
Another small thing is that I really think that this game expands the world building a lot from the first game. Like FTL shuttles, we had no conception of ships this small that could go faster than light. Right, the smallest spaceship we even see in Mass Effect 1 is the Normandy, and that's a frigate. I do really like what this game does to expand the world. You get a lot more about Batarians. You get a bunch of new non-Citadel species, or at least non-Council species, introduced. You get a lot more background in all of the ones we have seen before. There are more Hanar around, there's more Volus around, there's more Elcor around, and you learn a lot more about all of them. The world building in Mass Effect 1 was incredible, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it. But there was only so much you could do introducing the players into a brand new setting like this that was so expansive that I'm really glad that they dedicated to continuing to expand that lore and expand that world building as they moved on through the series, especially in 2. In 3, to an extent, they do add some new things in 3 as well, especially about previous cycles, so like Protheans and things. But what they do in this game is really, really impressive for that. And there's so many things that I completely forget just weren't in the first game, like Batarians weren't introduced until the Bring Down the Skies DLC in the first game. Things like that, like Vorcha, who if you're just watching along with this, and this is the first time you're experiencing this trilogy, you don't know what that is. But they become such a big player throughout this game and the next game that it feels like they were obviously there all along. Like they're integrated so well into the landscape of the universe. I think that, like I said, I think this game does a wonderful job at that. Even the retcons that it does, because it does some retcons with respect to especially Quarians. Kind of retcons some of the stuff that Tali was talking about to a degree, while also expanding on it. And then also some weird stuff about the Asari, which also gets further retconned later on, but, you know, none of it's jarring. I think I gotta really compliment the game for that, because world building is my favorite part about any science fiction or fantasy setting, or honestly, probably fiction in general.
This is a waste of time. I feel as good as ever.
The sooner we start, the sooner we can be done. Start with personal history.
Okay. Records show you were a spacer kid, raised mostly on one ship or another. You enlisted, and you survived a Thresher Maw attack that wiped out the rest of your team. Do you remember that?
I lost a lot of friends that day. Going through something like that changes you. It can break you if you let it.
I read the report. 50 Marines died on Akuz. You were the only one who lived. Satisfied, Miranda?
Almost. Let's try something more recent. Vermeire, where you destroyed Saren's cloning facility. You had to leave one of your squad behind to die in the blast.
Gunnery Chief Ashley Williams was killed in action. It was your call. Why did you leave her behind?
I left a friend to die that day, and I didn't do it casually. But I had to save as many people as I could. Ash gave her life for the rest of the team. Without her, I couldn't have stopped Saren. She died a hero.
I understand, Commander, and I wasn't judging your decision. Everybody at Cerberus knows that cloning facility had to be destroyed.
That makes
Shepard,
me question
think
my
back to the
decision a little
Citadel, after the Alliance saved the Destiny Ascension and you killed Saren. What happened next?
So a couple of things. One, like they mentioned, that was a really hard decision for a virtuous hero like Shepard, because Shepard is the kind of person who, like I said, he's going to try to save everybody. But going back to save Ashley would have meant failing the mission. And honestly, part of the reason that I had that mission set up the way that I did, and I had Kaidan go with the bomb, is because I knew I'd be going back to save Kaidan. And the smart thing to do in that case is to go back and secure the bomb. Right? That is honestly the right tactical decision, setting aside whether you're going to leave behind one of the other squad mates. Right? So I think that the situation works itself out quite well. It makes the decision Shepard had to make that much more impactful. Because it's not just a matter of which squad mate do you save, it's which squad mate do you sacrifice for the purpose of, at this point, essentially saving the galaxy. Now, it's also worth noting that, yay, Cerberus, the galactic terror, the human supremacist terrorist organization, is 100% behind your decision from the last game. That's nice. That's good to know. I'm really glad that I have them behind me. But, yeah, well, you know how it is. The other thing I wanted to mention was also this decision here between Anderson and Udina, because it's after the end of the game, technically, in Mass Effect 1. This is where you make the decision. Technically, so if you screwed up and you're like, oh man, I really shouldn't have picked Anderson. He's a military guy, and I just love politicians. Then you can just switch it, and pick Udina, and that kind of makes it work. But of course, we're not going to do that because Anderson is clearly the better choice, and Udina's an ass. Deserved to be punched in the face again.
Humanity was offered a spot on the council. I recommended Captain Anderson for the position.
Yes, Captain Anderson is now Councillor Anderson. Though from what I hear, he preferred life in the military.
Still, good to know that the human council member isn't going to put politics ahead of defense.
Your memory seems solid. There are other tests we really should
Wizkid,
run.
you didn't see that episode, did you?
Miranda.
So he asks, how does Ashley die anyway? Did she blow up? Yeah, so
personally.
So you're setting a bomb to destroy Saren's Krogan cloning facility, who's growing an army, and studying indoctrination. And you're setting a bomb. You send one of your squad mates to hold the line against the Geth and kind of keep them distracted, and the other of your squad mates you send to arm the bomb. You choose which is which at the beginning, so I chose Caden, the tech, obviously, to go arm the bomb, and Ashley to go lead the Solarian team to head off and keep the Geth distracted. Naturally, I think these are just honestly the best tactical decisions, and also because it fits with what I'm trying to do here, what I know the decision is going to be. So what happens is you're on your way to save Ashley and pick her up with the Normandy, call in a Normandy pickup, right? But then Caden with the bomb gets attacked. Don't start with the eggplant. I'm gonna have to address this, but not yet. So you're heading back to try and save Ashley, but then Caden gets attacked. So you have to choose: do you go and save Ashley, or do you go back for Caden? And the one you don't save, there isn't time to pick up. So they are under fire, and then the bomb goes off. There isn't time to take to go back and get both of them before you leave the planet. So basically, you have to choose which one to go and save, and there is no win-win in the situation. So there's no way to Captain Kirk your way out of it. It is exclusively you have to choose to save one or the other. You have to make a personal or tactical decision, and it just so happens, because we set it up right, that aligned properly. That it was both a personal and tactical decision. I love the tech armor. It's pretty neat. Can't turn it off though. So I'm just throwing in cutscenes now. So the thing about Miranda, so she's got it and she flaunts it, so to speak. She's a bit of a thought, I guess one might say. We'll find out a little more about her and her backstory and why she is the way that she is as we go forward. But suffice to say that she is very much the action heroine slash. I don't want to reduce her to eye candy, but the game does it all the time, so kind of. The game really, really, really likes its very strategically placed camera angles when she is in frame. Wizkid says, hey, the top 3 best girls in Mass Effect is Talia, Ashley, and Edie. Really? I mean, the love for Liara? Liara's great. Love Liara. But yeah, I do. Edie's great. Edie is phenomenal. We'll meet her soon, kind of. And no love for either of your secretaries, because you get 2 different secretaries. But yeah, so to long story short, Ashley blows up. Erica says, no, I'm sorry, there's some super uncanny valley with her, and she's more of a 7 to 8 out of 10 than a 10. Yeah, that's fair. She's a little bit odd in her, like, I don't know, there is a little bit odd about her. But maybe if we're nice, we can chalk it up to animation, but I don't know.
I wouldn't keep the Elusive Man waiting.
We're supposed to go in here. WizKid says, honestly, I do feel bad for Ashley. Cerberus really after him. Ashley? Oh, hey, look. Let's switch. No, let's go with that. Can't change that. Yeah, I don't like having a helmet. Oh, well, I only have my normal armor. Let's go with that. And what do we want? What color do you guys like? Do we want solid black? Do we want gray? Do we want something in between? And then also highlights. Highlights are fun. Just do a neat highlight color. That might be good. Yeah. If there's any thoughts, I'll probably just go with whichever the first person who says something says. So these I really don't like. Oh, Miranda. Yeah, so what Cerberus did Miranda. Okay. So WizKid says they're all great, and bear in mind, so all of the Mass Effect girls. Blue and gray. Oh, God. Well, now I have to do at least one color hot pink, so let's go with blue. Steel blue. Let's make this one pink. Where's the pink? It's purple. This one will have to be pink. This one can be blue. There. How's that look? Does that look reasonable? Or does that look absurd? Because I have no problem with absurd, as long as it's kind of cool. Cool kind of absurd. Yeah? No? Maybe? Horrifying amalgamation of each of your choices. So WizKid says, while we're choosing, they're all great, and bear in mind that I've not played enough of these games to really have a solid opinion of all the characters. That being said, I love Tali. Yeah, so do I. Tali's great. I cannot... I have basically nothing bad to say about Tali. Garrus, Tali, and Rex. Yeah, those are probably my favorite... well, I don't know. That's a tough call. There are very few of the characters in any of these games that I really just don't like. I mean, Jacob is a little bit boring, I guess, but, you know. Red-orange. That would fit with the whole, like... that would definitely fit with the, that. Keep the blue. No, that's too, that's... Orange and blue is too Gators-y. And it's especially clashes with the red. Don't like it. I don't want to be creating a custom XCOM character. So that's actually pretty subdued enough. That's still purplish, pinkish. That's pretty good. Yeah, I actually like this. Let's go with that. Unless there are any objections, and we can always change it later. But I like that for now. Do I want to change this at all? Let's go with the matte. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, so if we can always change it later, and we're going to be getting different armor pieces, yada, 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 so there we go. Samara's... Oh, really? You think Samara is kind of lame, but not the worst? Jack and Miranda are cool for humans. Cool for humans. WizKid, I do not have have never played XCOM, so I wouldn't know. Yeah, let's do that for now. That's cool. Oh, right, we already have orange highlighter. I forgot. It's in our tech armor. In any case, though, before we do that, yeah, Jack and Miranda are cool for humans. I don't know about Jack. She has good moments, but she also has kind of annoying moments. So that's I'm gonna have to kind of say that. Also, unfortunately, I have been drinking most of my beer already, and so I'm going to have to come back in about 2 minutes. So stick with me, and I will be right Sorry about that. And so anyway, while I was gone, I could do Cerberus Colors. That's decent. They're boring, though. They're really boring. They're just black and yellow. White. Pretty boring. Max says she acts exactly like someone would act in situations she's been in. Jack does. Yeah, I agree with that. That is fair. That is fair. But at the same time, she also just so happens to act like that chick from high school who was kind of an outcast, but was really cool about it at the same time. And maybe that's not fair, because for her it was justified, and for that chick from high school it's not really justified. So maybe it's just kind of a contact annoyance, let's say. But at the same time, once in a while it does get to rubbing a bit the wrong way. WizKid says XCOM is great if you like isometric strategy games. I do. And yelling obscenities at the screen each time your custom character dies. Oh, is it permadeath? Because that's always fun. I always have loved Fire Emblem, and that is very much about that. That's kind of the thing for that series. Can I just turn off my tech armor? No, I can't. Oh, it turns off in the cutscene. Awesome. Alright, so let's talk to the Elusive Man. Our wonderful Martin Sheen. Oh, and this is cool new technology. This is a quantum entanglement communicator. The first time this shows up.
Commander Shepard.
Elusive Man. I thought we'd be meeting face to face.
Unnecessary precaution. Not unusual for people who know what you and I know.
You might be the reason I'm still alive, but that doesn't mean I trust you.
You need to put your personal feelings aside. Humanity is up against the greatest threat of our brief existence.
The Reapers.
Good to see your memory's still intact. How are you feeling?
So a couple of things. One, I just remembered that some of the music in this game is just on point. This is one of them. The Elusive Man's theme is phenomenal. Title theme is good, but it's a little bit. It's out of style with the other two. And of course the legendary Suicide Mission theme, which is near the end. But I don't know. Some of the tracks I will also say, small side note, I actually think I like the music from the third game a little bit more than this one, and that's probably what contributes to me kind of liking the third game more. Max says, my favorite Me2 song is the song that plays in the club, Eternity. I'm trying to think of that one. Eternity is the club on the Citadel, right? I'm trying to remember that. So WizKid says about XCOM, I mean, save scumming is always a thing, but it's best played on Iron Man mode, where it's constantly auto-saving. Ooh, yeah, that's rough. That's always fun. On that, I'm trying to remember about Eternity. We will get there soonish after these first couple of missions, maybe even tonight. Maybe not if I keep getting sidetracked like this, but we'll see. Yeah, WizKid, on the club on Ilium. Oh, okay. That might be Eternity. You might be right. Because there's 3 clubs in this game. There's the one on Ilium, there's the one on the Citadel, and there's the one on Omega. We will not get to Ilium tonight. That I'm sure of. That's like halfway through the game before you get there. But yeah, that's actually one of the things that you can. It's for Fire Emblem. Yeah, you can kind of count it as save scumming, but I wouldn't. It's more like you have to start the mission over if one of your characters dies, which is kind of a thing that really made that game challenging, is getting through a mission without a character dying, but then having that, well, okay, do I start the mission over, or do I go and give up this character forever? That was rough. This music, oh yeah, this music reminds me of Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Yeah, I get that. Alright, anyway, let's continue along and tell off this guy who's, hey, how are you feeling? Fun fact, Martin Sheen doesn't smoke, and so to get the timing and the voice inflections right for the Elusive Man, he would fake smoke a pen when he was doing the recording, just for that extra bit of getting the timing right of when he would be taking a draw and that kind of thing. So neat, cool little behind the scenes thing. I absolutely love this character and the production behind him.
You need to earn the right to ask me those kinds of questions.
Cerberus isn't as evil as you believe. You and I are on the same side. We just have different methods.
Cut to the chase. What are the Reapers doing that made you decide to bring me back?
We're at war. No one wants to admit it, but humanity is under attack. While you've been sleeping, entire colonies have been disappearing. Human colonies. We believe it's someone working for the Reapers, just as Saren and the Geth aided Sovereign. You've seen it yourself. You bested all of them. That's just one reason we chose you.
WizKid asks, 3 clubs, how many do you need, Shepard? Less than 1, given her dancing. It's by reputation comically awful.
Sovereign was trying to harvest all life in the galaxy. Why would the Reapers target a few human colonies?
Hundreds of thousands of colonists have vanished. I'd say that fits the definition of harvesting. Nobody's paying attention because it's random, and the attacks occur in remote locations. I don't know why they've suddenly targeted humanity. Maybe you got their attention when you killed one of them.
Okay.
Fighting a war doesn't seem like Cerberus. Why are you involved?
We're committed to the advancement and preservation of humanity. If the Reapers are targeting us, trying to wipe us out, Cerberus will stop them. If we wait for politicians or the Alliance to act, no more human colonies will be left.
See, that's the kind of thing that sounds so much like the sort of contemporary secular humanist line of thought, where we're acting in the best interests of humanity, or even the slogan for Cerberus, which also happens to be the slogan for the Andrew Yang campaign, which is humanity first, which really takes on a different connotation when there are aliens involved, doesn't it?
You could have trained an entire army for what you spent to bring me back.
You're unique, not just in ability or what you've experienced, but in what you represent. You stood for humanity at a key moment. You're more than a soldier. You're a symbol. And I don't know if the Reapers understand fear, but you killed one. They have to respect that.
Okay, so the thing about XCOM, WizKid says, is that it makes it that makes it great is how it forces you into making tactical choice on the fly, and how you can utterly frick everything up and still comes up smelling like roses if you're careful and lucky enough. I grew up playing chess quite a lot, and there's a very, very different strategic mindset between call it a proper game and speed chess. This sounds a lot more like speed chess, where the challenge is the fast adaptability and trying to mitigate your errors rather than trying to come up with a brilliant strategy from the outset. Because coming up with a brilliant strategy from the outset is basically impossible when you are when you're trying to move in under a second, when you have 5 minutes per player in a chess match, that kind of thing. And from what you're describing, XCOM makes XCOM sound like that kind of tactics. Funny enough, I actually used that strategy a lot in a lot of tournament games, especially against younger players, because if you're playing in a ranked tournament, sorry about that. If you're playing in a ranked tournament and somebody is, especially if you're in middle school, high school, if it's by grade level, and there's somebody significantly younger than you in your division, it means they are incredibly skilled, because they're skilled enough to get to rank up into your division. So what that effectively means is that you should be scared of the small children in chess tournaments, or really any competitive tournament that's usually broken up by age and or skill. And so a lot of the times, if they're that skilled, they have chess coaches. Coaches will teach a very slow and very methodical approach, even in a tournament match where there is a time limit. It's just relatively long, and so if you can force them onto the clock, you can get them to screw up. You can get them to not think as carefully and methodically, and force and kind of trick them into committing unforced errors, which is really what you want in a chess match. You want your opponent to screw up much more than you want to succeed. But yeah, anyway, that's way off to a tangent. But speaking a little bit to some of my age-old experience, because remember, I'm as my students are so prone to telling me, I am ancient and timeless and old at 28.
If this is a threat against humanity, you need to mobilize the Alliance.
They suffered substantial losses fighting Sovereign. Their rebuilding, still stretched too thin to waste resources verifying the Reaper threat. Blaming the abductions on mercs and pirates is easier and more convenient.
If what you say is true, if the Reapers are behind this, I'd consider helping you.
I'd be disappointed if you accepted any of this without seeing for yourself. I have a shuttle ready to take you to Freedom's Progress, the latest colony to be abducted. Miranda and Jacob will brief you.
Miranda killed Wilson in cold blood. Jacob's just a gun for hire. Expect me to trust them?
Wilson was one of my best agents, but he was a traitor. Miranda did exactly what I expected of her, and she saved your life in more ways than one. Jacob's a soldier, one of the best. He's never fully trusted me, but he's always been honest about it. You'll be just fine with them. For now.
So, putting a friendly face like Jacob, one who doesn't entirely trust the Elusive Man, in with Shepard to get her to trust him, and so vicariously to trust the Elusive Man, is a really clever strategy. But at the same time, it also means putting the potential subversives together and let them work together and continue being subversive. Well, that's what you need Miranda for, I guess. But that's a gamble. But again, I like it. It's one of those really long-term strategic gambles that we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
What do you think I'll find there?
If I knew that, I wouldn't need to send you. Find any clues you can. Who's abducting the colonies? Do they have any connection to the Reapers? I brought you back. It's up to you to do the rest.
Alright, nice. Let's upgrade some of our powers. Let's definitely get Cryoblast. And oh, recharge time. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's do that. Alright, cool. Once we get on our mission, we're going to have to move Cryoblast over a bit. Oh yeah, WizKid says, I'd love to play chess with you, even if you'd probably kick my ass because I'm not always the greatest. It's been a long time since I've played anything like competitively, so I don't know. We'll see. I have no guarantees that I'm that good anymore. But I'm decent, I guess. Still, it's even been a while since I've really played much at all, but I'm probably at least still acceptable. So yeah, that could be fun. And there's also, I don't know if this still has it, Facebook Messenger used to have an inbuilt chess app, where it would just basically, you could input chess commands, and it would bring up a chessboard and play it for you. So that might be neat.
I'm glad the Elusive Man convinced you to join us, Commander.
What's with the armor butt circles? It's a little weird.
I just want to find out what happened to those missing people. I still don't trust Cerberus.
Noted. Do you trust me, Commander?
I haven't made up my mind about you yet.
At least you're giving me a chance. Most Alliance soldiers hate Cerberus on principle.
Do you know anything about this colony we're going to?
It's called Freedom's Progress. Don't know much else. I guess we'll find out when we get there.
You said you served in the Alliance.
5 years in total. Stationed all over the galaxy. Even spent a couple of years as a Corsair.
I've never heard of the Corsairs.
It was an Alliance initiative. They hired independent starship captains and used them for missions that fell outside official Alliance jurisdiction. Technically, we weren't part of the Alliance. If we ever got caught, they could disavow any knowledge of us. We were supposed to be free from restrictions and rules, but there was still enough red tape to sink a cruiser. I finally just gave up.
So basically privateers, but, you know, with apparently bureaucratic red tape, which, of course, yeah, that's got there's some interesting implications for that in terms of just war theory and that sort of thing. That sending technically non-combatants into combat is, well, I mean, it depends on what you mean here, right? So this would violate, this sort of thing violates modern conventions of warfare, like Geneva Conventions and that sort of thing, because, you know, soldiers are supposed to be uniformed. They're supposed to be, marked off as soldiers. So, you know, so there's no danger of accidentally harming civilians, that kind of thing. At least to minimize that sort of danger. But this Corsair program, or privateers in general, isn't necessarily against the broader just war doctrine, so long as again it is declared by a listed authority, and so long as that it is a last resort, it is a just cause, hope of victory, etc. Right, and you know, through just means, right? So presumably these Corsairs wouldn't be just stealing stealing indiscriminately or attacking indiscriminately, that kind of thing. But so long as this would be, you know, otherwise following just war theory, this shouldn't be much of an issue with it, even if it would be, you know, legally questionable in a lot of circumstances, and there's the whole disavowal kind of thing. Which again, there are prudential concerns with that, right? If your commanders are going to, you know, they will disavow you if you do something wrong, then, well, on the one hand, that's incentive to do things right, but on the other hand, that means that you're probably not going to have too strong of a loyalty to your commanders. Right? So there are, like I said, prudential concerns more than strictly theoretical or ethical concerns.
Why did you join Cerberus?
I guess I just got tired of never making a difference. So much of what we did in the Alliance seemed pointless. I thought things would change after the attack on the Citadel. Humanity was finally invited to join the Council, but nothing changed. Politics, bureaucracy, same bullshit, different leaders. Cerberus is different. When colonies go missing, we don't commission a team to write a report to figure out what the hell to do about it. We just go and find out.
That's all for now.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am? Alright, well, I guess Shepard is in command. Oh god, I forgot about that. I think they got rid of this glitch in 3. But there's this thing where if you're in a conversation and you walk away, Shepard turns her head to continue to stare at the person you were talking to forever until you stop and hold still and let her reorient and look forward. It drives me insane, and you're going to notice me stopping every once in a while to fix it. So I apologize. Hey, look at that. Nice stuff. Grenade launcher. Credits. I'll do it.
We should be there shortly, Shepard. The Elusive Man put us under your command. Do you have any orders?
Are you sure you'll be comfortable following my orders?
We didn't bring you back from the dead just to second guess you, Commander. If the Elusive Man says you're in charge, you're in charge.
What did you find at the other colonies?
Nothing. No signs of attack, no corpses, not even a trace of unusual genetic material to give us a clue. They just disappeared. We've got no target to go after.
What makes you think this investigation will turn up anything new?
At other colonies, official investigators got there first. Sometimes looters or salvage teams as well. We're hoping to be the first ones there this time. Maybe find clues before somebody else disturbs the scene.
Our first priority is to look for survivors.
That's unlikely, Commander. No one was left at the other colonies. They were completely deserted.
Be nice to find somebody. Anything's better than another ghost town.
I do have another gun. Nice. Let's switch. Oh, right. I need to put ammo on it. Now, hopefully... Yay, I didn't crash the game. Alright, wonderful. Now let's move. Let's see what we got here at this creepily abandoned outpost or colony.
Looks like everyone just got up and left right in the middle of dinner.
Something makes me doubt that they just got up and left.
Strange. No bodies, no structural damage, and no signs of battle.
There's even just a coffee cup sitting here. Those parts. Hey, spare parts. Just credits, but alright. Up here. Alright, let's see. What do we got?
Strange. Security systems were disabled at the other colonies.
Enemy down!
Check activity. Shoot them before they take out the shield.
There we go!
Requesting assistance. Backup systems engaged.
Come on over!
Oops.
Those mechs shouldn't have been hostile.
There we go.
They should have recognized us as human.
Someone reprogrammed them to attack on sight. We're not alone here.
Yeah, Max points out that Mass Effect 2 is really good at giving a creepy vibe. Couldn't agree more. This is really well put together. A lot of it's in the sound design, which makes no sense. Like, why is there howling? Like, it doesn't actually... There's no good reason for it to be there, other than, damn, is it really creepy. Need that. Alright, let's do this thing. There. Right.
Enemies!
He goes!
Okay. But yeah, this one, the collector ship, which has very similar sound design, now that I think about it. There's the Alarai, that's the Quarian ship.
Stop right there! Praza, you said you'd let me handle this. Wait, Shepard?
I'm not taking any chances with Cerberus operatives.
Put those weapons down! Shepard? Is that... You're alive?
Remember when I gave you that Geth data tally? Did it help you complete your pilgrimage?
Yes, it did. Praza, weapons down. This is definitely Commander Shepard.
Why is your old commander working for Cerberus?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask.
Max also says, I mean, they also have a good song for the enemies that ties in with what they are and what they do, and I think it's really well done. I agree. I will say that the music tracks for this game by themselves aren't... I don't think they stand out too well by themselves, but they fit so well with the overall sound design of what's going on, that's, I think, really what makes it stand out more than anything else. Yeah.
Cerberus rebuilt me, but I'm not taking their orders. We can discuss the specifics once I know why you're here.
One of our people was here on pilgrimage. His name was Vitor. We came to find him.
Isn't that a little strange? A Quarian visiting a remote human colony?
Quarians can choose where they go on pilgrimage. Vitor liked the idea of helping a small settlement. He was always nervous in crowds.
She means that he was unstable. Combine that with damage to his suit CO2 scrubbers and an infection from an open-air exposure, and he's likely delirious.
When he saw us landing, he hid in a warehouse on the far side of town. We suspect he also programmed the mechs to attack anything that moved.
Vitor's the only one who can tell us what happened here. We should work together to find him.
Good idea. You'll need 2 teams to get past the drones anyway.
Yeah, good to see you.
Now we're working with Cerberus?
No, Praza. You're working for me. If you can't follow orders, go wait on the ship. Head for the warehouse through the center of the colony. We'll circle around the far side and draw off some of the drones to clear you a path.
Your people really don't like Cerberus. What did I miss?
They killed our people, infiltrated our flotilla, and tried to blow up one of our ships.
That's not how I'd have explained it exactly. It was nothing personal.
We can argue over
you're not denying it.
Right now, we've got a job to do.
Agreed. We work together to get to Vitor.
Make sure to keep in radio contact.
Will do. Good luck, Shepard. Whatever happens, it's good to have you back.
Yeah. Nice to have Tally around.
Be careful, Shepard. There's a squad of security drones up ahead.
Thanks for the warning. We'll take care of them.
I gotta say, though, I really like that she doesn't just immediately join you right here.
Alert.
Let's do this. Yeah. Forgot you could hover over them and see what they were, because that makes it much easier. I'm used to just following the
Use
little
overload
lines. You use overload.
Enemy down! There we go!
I'm on it!
Well, I can't use the squad just yet. It's fine, she's back
Shepard,
up.
Praza and his squad rushed on ahead. I told them to wait, but they wouldn't listen. They want to find Vitor and take him away before you get here.
We should have expected this.
Come on. We can still catch them.
So... Wait, what? Oh, yeah. So WizKid says, I love how the Quarians are basically just germophobic Russian aliens. And then Max points out Kel Rieger, we meet later on, sounds American though, lol. Morgan's voice actor from Dragon Age does Admiral Zen, by the way. Oh, really? Wow, okay. She's also... Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense. She's really, really well known for sci-fi roles. She was somebody in Farscape. I forget what the character's name was. She was also a sort of latecomer in Stargate SG-1 in the last couple of seasons. I love her in both of those, and in this, and I guess in Dragon Age. I forgot that was her, but yeah, absolutely. I just realized that, yeah, that's definitely her. Tally in Mass Effect 2 is great, Max says, because she named her drone Chatika Vas Pas, and says, go get them Chatika Vas. Go get them Chatika, good girl. There's also Go for the Eyes Chatika. That's another good one. Or if she's fighting, actually, oh, she says something else like go for the optics if you're fighting Geth or whatever. That's always fun. But yeah, that's actually a really cool world building bit about the Geth, not the Geth, the Quarians having a bunch of different accents. And the reason for that in universe is that they live on different ships, or even different groups of ships that have very little cultural contact with one another. So of course they would develop different accents, just like, I mean, realistically, just like any alien species would, right? We humans are one species, but there are a ton of human accents. Right? There's no single human accent. got it.
Here we go. Yeah, Shepard. We're inside the loading docks.
But yeah, I love that there is not just a Quarian accent.
They do
There are.
want to get to Vitor first.
Get your squad into cover, and I'll open the loading bay doors.
There's at least
We'll
3
take
or
cover by the
4
doors.
separate
Shepard, you take point.
Quarian accents. There's the sort of American one. There's the very Eastern European one, which is like this squad and Tally especially. Then
Going
there
to cover.
is
Take point, Shepard. We'll cover the door.
then there's also the more British one. Of course, Garrison's scope dropped. Also, one less to worry about. Another big Garrison. Ooh, worse. Okay, worse.
That mech's got heavy armor plating. Those Quarians never stood a chance.
Wait, why do I have
This
a
is
rifle?
gonna be one tough son of a bitch to take down.
Alright, let's, first of all, switch guns. Weak against armor, let's switch.
Change weapons! Switch up!
Oh, wait, no. Darn it.
Powering weapons.
Switch up! Change weapons! Firing now!
It's gonna blow!
Alright, good thing I had tech armor up. That'd be rough.
Right!
I thought it was going to explode. Whew! Oh yeah, companions in Mass Effect 2 are dumb. I agree. They're easily commanded though. At least they're not as dumb as Andromeda, where they're both dumb and you can't command them. Oh wait. Darn it! Come on. There we go. WizKid says that's genius world building, talking about Quarian accents, and it ensures that they get the right voice actor for each character. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, they don't do that with the other alien species. The other alien species are Turian accent, Asari accent, singular. For the most part, there are some minor exceptions to that, but for the most part, each alien race has one accent. Including
this should come in handy.
My favorite 2 alien races from a voice acting standpoint, the Hanar and the Vorcha. The Hanar, which all have the same voice actor, and they are also they all have the same distortion effect on their voice. So they have the same reverse, reverb, reverse, which is how that's done, which is really cool. And the Vorcha is my other favorite because they are all voiced by Mark Meir, who voices Male Shepard, while gargling with water. He puts water in his throat and voices the Vorcha. So that's pretty cool.
This is your chance to go find Vitor while I tend to the wounded, Shepard. He's probably somewhere in the back of the loading bay.
Oh, yeah, Max also notes, I don't know for sure, but I think that the squad in Mass Effect 2 won't move out of your way when you go in cover, but they do in Mass Effect 3 right away. Yes, they do. They definitely do. That is one of the main differences. Oh, that's really cool. You went to a convention with Grunt's voice actor. Very cool. Where am I supposed to be going? That way, huh? Oh, right through there. Okay, I'm dumb. I should have realized that.
Monsters coming back. Max will protect. Safe from swarms. Have to hide. No monsters. No swarms. No.
Vitor?
No, Vitor. Not here. Swarms can't find. Monsters coming. Have to hide.
Nobody's gonna hurt you anymore.
I don't think he can hear you, Commander.
Have to hide. Max.
Shouldn't be that easy to hack it, but whatever.
You're human. Where did you hide? How come they didn't find you?
Who didn't find us?
The monsters. The swarms. They took everyone.
So WizKid says, well, with the Asari, it kind of makes sense, though. Because for all intents and purposes, they're basically the same. I'm not sure what you mean exactly. Like, does it sound a little racist? No, I think I'm kidding. Unless you're going to just correct me and say, no, totally racist. I don't know. But, no, I wouldn't say that. Actually, now that I really put some thought into it, there are different Asari with fairly different accents. Like, the Asari Counselor has a very, very different accent from like Liara and Benezia, who kind of match. Like Liara's voice actress does a good job of matching Benezia's, and I know that it was Benezia who has her accent first because I recognize her voice and accent and everything, and it is exactly Diana Troy from Star Trek: The Next Generation because it's her. And she doesn't really do much in terms of an accent. It's just that Liara kind of imitates it, being her daughter, pretty well. Imitates the accent pretty well. Gradually moves away from it in 2 and 3, but still roughly the same. What was there's something else about that also. Oh yeah, that also reminds me of so our tabletop game. Speaking of the council, I had the Asari counselor, whose name is escaping me right now, be basically the only surviving member of the council to still be on the council by the time of like 10 years later, the time everybody got back to the Citadel. I guess 11 years later. Oh yes, Max points out, I swear Femshep's voice does Avatar Kyoshi. Yes, she does. She does Avatar Kyoshi, and also, if you're looking for Avatar The Last Airbender, she also does the voice for June, the bounty hunter with the mole, with the tongue. Also June. Interesting because they were both in the same episode and part of the finale. That's when I first realized that. She also does lots and lots and lots and lots of things. Ayla Sakura in the Clone Wars, and technically in The Rise of Skywalker for a line. She does the trooper for Mass Effect. No. The trooper for Star Wars: The Old Republic. The female trooper. She does the voice for that. Bastila Shan in the Knights of the Old Republic, and Satil Shan and the Old Republic in the MMO. Forget who in the Dragon Age series. I know she plays like 2 or 3 characters in the Dragon Age series as well. Max says, fight me on this, but I like Femshep's voice acting a lot more than Male Shep. No, 100% agree. 100% agree. Oh yeah, the shear shoots, the mole with the tongue. Yeah, I 100% agree. Jennifer Hale is one of the best character voice actors working right now. Like on the level of people like Patrick Warburton with the most distinctive voice in the world, and people like James Arnold Taylor, who is like the most versatile voice actor I have ever heard of. Jennifer Hale is very distinctive, but she does a phenomenal job with characters, and making characters sound unique, even with her voice being relatively distinctive. Yes, she was also Bastila in KOTOR as well, which is a very different character who sounds very different, but the moment you hear it, if you hear them right next to each other, it's the same voice, but it's a very, very different character. Yeah, she does a phenomenal job. This isn't to diss Mark Meir at all, because he does an amazing job for Male Shepherd as well. It's just that there is no, in this case, there's no bad option. Like, there's neither male or female protagonist in the trilogy is bad. It's just you've got really good and truly great. And that's really, I think, the difference. I will say, though, Andromeda, if you've played both Sarah and Scott Ryder, Scott's voice is clearly much better. He does most of the lines much better, and it's a huge difference. Oh yeah, she was also Naomi in Metal Gear Solid 1, PS1. That's right. She's been working for a very long time and doing a lot of iconic role, really. Jennifer Hale has, I mean. But yeah, I think the voice actor for Scott Ryder in Mass Effect Andromeda is just worlds better than the actress for Sarah. And a lot of it is because of his tonality, and a lot of it is also because of his range. Because Ryder is much more varied in terms of his or her kind of emotional response. And a lot more of that is left up to the player. You need a very versatile voice actor to capture the different emotional tones that the character can emote with. And I think the actor for Scott does that much better than Sarah. She also kind of always sounds like she's in pain, which is weird. But anyway, yeah, that's my little spiel about something I know nothing about. So that's cool. So let's figure out what Vitor is talking about monsters and swarms.
Why didn't the colonists fight back, Vitor? What happened?
You don't know. You didn't see. But I see everything.
Looks like security footage. He must have pieced it together manually.
What the hell is that?
My god. I think it's a collector.
Is that some kind of alien?
They're a species from somewhere beyond the Omega-4 relay. Only a few people have ever seen one in person.
They usually work through intermediaries, like slavers or hired mercenaries. If they're involved with the Reapers somehow, it could explain what happened to the colonies.
The Collectors have advanced technology. They could have a weapon that disables an entire settlement at once.
The Seeker swarms. No one can hide. The Seekers find you, freeze you, then the monsters take you away.
Tell me more about these swarms.
It's how they find you. Seeker clouds, machines like tiny insects. They go everywhere. They find you, then they sting you, freeze you.
Sounds like miniature probes, maybe. Find victims, then immobilize them with a stasis field or nerve toxin.
Yeah. Couple of things. One, the Seekers are not that small. They're like the size of your palm. But yeah, this has become, I think, really since this game, become a really common trope of just like everyone going missing, and it's as if they got up from their dinner tables, like that in particular. I feel like this was one of the earlier stories to do that kind of thing, and do it with this kind of horror tone, which like you guys were pointing out, it does very, very well.
I want to know more about the Collectors.
Nobody knows much. They're so rare, a lot of people don't even believe they exist.
More importantly, why are they abducting human colonists? What are they after?
Maybe the Elusive Man can figure it out.
Why didn't the Collectors take you?
Swarms didn't find me. Monsters didn't know I was here.
The Collectors aren't known for being careless. Maybe his Enviro suit kept him from showing up on their sensors.
Or they were using technology specifically designed to detect humans. Only human colonies have been hit.
So that is odd, though. That would be strange if he were the first non-human to even be present at any of the colonies that were hit. If that is the case, then that seems like it would indicate that there is a lot of cultural insulation still, at least among humans, but I think in general in the Mass Effect setting. which is really, I mean, I don't really get that impression from anywhere else, but it seems to be the case that at least in this instance that there isn't really much in terms of races living together, except in big hub worlds like the Citadel or like Ilium, which we wind up at, or like dives like Omega.
What happened next?
The monsters took the people onto the ship, and then they left. The ship flew away. But they'll be back for me. No one escapes.
I think that's probably all we're getting out of him, Commander.
We appreciate what you told us. You were very helpful.
I studied them. The monsters. The swarms. I recorded them with my Omni tool. Lots of readings. Electromagnetic. Dark energy.
We need to get this data to the Elusive Man. Grab the Quarian and call the shuttle to come pick us up.
What? Vitor is injured. He needs treatment, not an interrogation.
We won't hurt him. We just need to see if he knows anything else. He'll be returned unharmed.
Your people tried to betray us once already. If we give him to you, we'll never get the intel we need.
Praza was an idiot, and he and his men paid for it. You're welcome to take Vitor's Omnitool data, but please, just let me take him.
You don't have to take Vitor and go. We could work together, just like old times.
I want to, but I can't. I've got a mission of my own. It's too important for me to abandon, even for you. When it's over, and I'm still alive, we'll see what happens.
That sounds dangerous. What are you doing?
I don't think Cerberus needs to hear about it. But it's in Geth space. That should tell you how important it is.
Yeah, this is a super important mission that gets dropped in the third game because they kind of changed the main plot. I'm going to talk more about that as we go, probably when we do Tally's loyalty mission. Because it would have been, or there was speculation at least, it was set to be the kind of the ending, or the kind of story behind the ending, but they wound up changing it really significantly. And unlike a lot of people, I actually really like the change. I really do think that the ending that they wound up going with, it fits much, much better with the overall themes of the Mass Effect trilogy, and especially having to do with the kind of organic-synthetic conflict, and the cycle of organics creating synthetics, synthetics turning on organics, and then fighting. But yeah, anyway, that well, like I said, we'll talk about that more as we go forward, and especially like the nature of synthetic life, the possibility of synthetic life, the possibility of strong AI, and then also having to do with Tally's mission, externalities, because externalities and things like pollution, because that's another interesting topic that it brings up.
He's traumatized and he needs medical care. Tally will give us the Omnitool data and take him to the flotilla.
Understood, Commander.
Thank you, Shepard. I'm glad you're still the one giving the orders. Good luck out there. If I find anything that can help you, I'll let you know.
We're ready for pickup.
Shepard, good work on Freedom's progress. The Quarians forwarded their findings from Vitor's debriefing. No new data, but it's a surprising olive branch given our history. You and I have different methods, but I can't argue with your results.
You ever think about playing nice once in a while?
Diplomacy is great when it works, but difficult when everyone already perceives you as a threat. But more importantly, you confirm the Collectors are behind the abductions.
Why do I get the feeling you knew about them already?
I had my suspicions, but I needed proof. The Collectors are enigmatic at best. They periodically travel to the Terminus systems, looking to gather seemingly unimportant items or specimens, usually in exchange for their technology. When their transactions are complete, they disappear as quickly as they arrived, back beyond the unmapped Omega-4 relay. Until now, we've had no evidence of direct aggression by the Collectors.
Why is the Omega-4 relay unmapped? What do we know about it?
Only that no ship passing through it has ever returned. Our best guess is that the relay reacts differently to Collector vessels, allowing them safe passage. If they can manipulate relays, that's just further evidence of the connection with the Reapers.
Yeah, I mean, we did find out last time in the near the end of Mass Effect 1 that I kind of spoiled it, that the mass relays are essentially Reaper technology, and that they're capable of basically using them and changing them, manipulating and creating them on a whim. And so this is kind of playing into that. We kind of move into that kind of stage of direct conflict with the Reapers and with their highly, highly advanced technology, and also with, naturally, the Collectors who are working with and for the Reapers and their highly advanced technology. WizKid says, honestly, the Elusive Man has very strong Robert House or Caesar vibes from Fallout New Vegas. I can see that. Yeah, I can see the connection there. I don't know, there's a similarity enough to make a connection, but I still really do think that his character and his tone and his mannerisms are distinct enough to make him really a unique semi-antagonist. And just a really fascinating character. Speaking of his in particular character, asking about humans. Let's see why the Collectors might be targeting us in particular.
Any ideas on why they've shifted their focus to humans?
If they're agents for the Reapers, it could be any number of reasons. Obviously, humanity played a huge role in Sovereign's destruction. That might have been enough to draw their attention. What really concerns me is why they bother abducting the colonists. Once the humans are paralyzed, why not just kill them?
I mean, we kind of talked about this already. Yeah, we kind of talked about this already, that if they are involved with the Reapers are interested in harvesting organic life for whatever reasons they have, which we'll discover eventually. We do also eventually find out one important thing is that the Reapers harvest. They focus their efforts in each cycle on one dominant species, and only harvest the other species to a lesser degree. This kind of implies that they pick a species as the dominant race. And in this case, this kind of implies that humans, who I will remind you, at this point, our first contact with any aliens ever was 38 years ago, that humans are the dominant species of the galaxy. I mean, I get it. I know that that's really what the writers were going for. They were saying that this is humanity's story, and humanity is the protagonists of this story, and we're the ones who made that last difference that ended the Reapers, yada yada yada. But it's still incredibly bizarre when it comes to humans being the most advanced and developed, not advanced, but the dominant race in the galaxy. I could imagine that kind of thing in a setting obviously like Star Wars, where humans are like a good third of sentient life, right, in the galaxy or something like that, compared to most other races, which are less than 1% kind of thing, or even a setting like Star Trek, where the Federation is without question the dominant power in a large region of space, which is led without question again by humans, which is a weird development that I have my own little qualms with between the original series and the Next Generation, is that the Federation goes from being Vulcan dominated to being very much human dominated. Vulcans really take a back seat, but that's a side issue, really. It's an issue for a different series, but I do think that in this context, it seems very odd to think of humans as the dominant species, aside from Commander Shepard being the one primarily responsible for taking out Sovereign. So I mean, it's really an upstart's tale. WizKid says about the Elusive Man, it's just the way he talks strikes me very much of House and his goals, and potentially reminding of Caesar. He's his own person, of course, but one of the best things about this era of video games is how philosophical some of the best ones were. Yeah, and I really do think that the Elusive Man is a fascinating. Again, I have to call him a pseudo antagonist or something, because he's not. At least in this game, he's very clearly not he's not an antagonist, but he is a confrontational force. He's an obstacle in a sense, and he's certainly mysterious. He has some good intentions and some ill intentions. And it's very clear that he has these mixed motives, right? He wants what's best for the galaxy, but primarily he wants what's best for humanity in particular. And in a lot of cases, that means at the expense of other races. And that's, racist, right? Or at least it's, it's xenophobic, or it's humanocentric if you want to go into that term. Humanocentric works in this context very differently than it works in our current 21st century context. But yeah, I do think he is a very complex character. His motives couldn't be clearer, honestly, especially at this stage. But at the same time, his motives they're very clear, but they're very complex. He's not a mustache twirling bad guy, and he's not a big damn hero. He wants what's best for humanity. He's a partisan, really. I think that's probably the best way of describing it. That's fascinating, really. It's an interesting outlook for such a major character of what amounts to a space opera like this, right? A character who is overall benevolent, but benevolent in a very restricted scope, right? So going back to looking at like Star Trek, you really don't have many humanocentrists. Right? You don't have any real human partisans, except maybe an Enterprise, because that's very early on in the development of human-Vulcan relations. But even then, those are the outliers, and the really pro-human anti-Vulcan types in Star Trek Enterprise are they're usually maligned as this kind of maybe racist or supremacist or extremist, whereas the Elusive Man is at this point, he's more or less on the hero's side. Right? What he's doing is the right thing, at least from what we can tell. WizKid says, I think correctly, it's supremacist. He doesn't hate other races. I will push back on that because he hates Turians. For not justified reasons, but understandable reasons. He just advocates for humans above all else, and in a way you could say that the collectors prove him right, if your theory is correct. And my theory, right, is confirmed by the writers, right? The writers were intending to write a humanocentric story, right? That the idea is that that this Mass Effect trilogy, that actually probably the whole series, is the story of humanity entering into this galactic community. It's the story of humanity, right? And so it really is this kind of, and humanity in the biological species sense, not humanity in the sense of persons, right? Interspecies harmony and that kind of thing. So if you really want to read that much into it, the creators intended for a kind of renegade approach rather than Paragon. Now, I think that's not the best way of playing the game, and that's not the best story. I really do think that the Paragon option of bringing the galaxy together, not under the banner of humanity per se, but bringing them together, united for common purposes, I do think that's the better story. But it really was, I think, intended by the writers that this is humanity's tale, like biological Homo sapiens' tale. But yeah, I mean, it's at this stage at least, and I keep saying that because things kind of change somewhat over the course of this game and into the next one. But at this stage at least, right, with the exception of a grudge against Turians because of the First Contact War, the Elusive Man is he's not anti-alien so much as he sees himself as an advocate for humanity. Right? Because, just like a patriot needn't be a jingoist, a humanist in this sense needn't necessarily be a racist. and in a weird sense, a supremacist needn't be a racist. That's very weird to say, and that goes against a lot of what we tend to think. But I do think that it fits here, right? This kind of illustrates that, is that just because you think that or just because you're advocating for your people does not mean that you have a hatred of other people. Even if, again, in some cases, he might. Again, he fought in the First Contact War, and he experienced some of the horrors of it, so he does have a kind of grudge against Turians, but at the same time, it's not like he's very... it's not like he hates the other races, at least, if nothing else, and he certainly is... like I said, he's more interested in promoting humanity than tearing anybody else down. Unless they get in humanity's way. WizKid asks, really? That's interesting that their intended playstyle is Renegade. Now, hold on, I'm reading into it, so yeah. Maybe it's not. Maybe their intended playstyle isn't Renegade, but the intended story that they intended to write fits, I think, better with a Renegade playstyle. Put it that way. When the more interesting option is to become more of a Christ figure to all the galaxy, Death of the Author is fascinating. Yeah, they made a story better than they could write. And that's also, I think, honestly, one of the best things about the medium of video games for the sake of storytelling and for the sake of literature is that you can make a story that gives the player agency to write a better story than you, the writers, could have written. Because they have the option of selecting I guess you could say the right choices, or maybe even just the better or the more interesting or the more coherent choices, the more story coherent choices, or something like that. Yeah, I think that there's a lot about player choice that makes a huge difference in the ability to tell a story. And this game is a great example of it. This game series is a great example of that. And so is Red Dead Redemption, because there are radically different. Even if the individual choices in the game aren't that drastic, there are radically different tones in the ending, whether Arthur has redeemed himself or not. We'll get to that. Get to some of that tomorrow, obviously. Anyway, let's continue our conversation. I think I've been yapping for long enough. I'll probably come back. I'll definitely come back to some of these topics because they're all really central to the themes of this game.
What are the collectors getting from these deals?
The collectors aren't very forthcoming about their motives. Generally, they seek out species with rare genetic mutations or abnormalities. They pay slavers and merc groups exorbitant sums to obtain these specimens, and then they leave. But they've never targeted a single species before, and the previous sample sizes were in the dozens, not the tens of thousands.
You're holding something back. How do you know the Reapers are involved?
The patterns are there, buried in the data. The Council and the Alliance want to believe the Reaper threat died with Sovereign. You and I know better. I won't wait until the Reapers are on the march. We need to take the fight to them.
So one last thing on this. WizKid, I have similar experiences, right? As someone who has at least one friend who is a confirmed, quote, supremacist, he definitely doesn't hate any other race. Like you said, he just advocates for his race above all the other ones. Yeah, I'm on the internet enough to interact, unfortunately or otherwise, with a fair amount of the that sort of people, and yeah, that's my experience as well. They don't tend to be hateful; they tend to be isolationist, and they tend to sort of just limit the scope of their focus to what they see as the in-group, not in opposition to the out-group, but simply as what they can focus on. Good night, Kylie. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Feel free to finish watching later on, and I will see you tomorrow for Yeehaw Skyrim. That'll be a good time as well. But yeah, I do think that the sort of supremacist approach is not necessarily anti-other, but it can be, in the case of like the Elusive Man is a good example of this, pro-us, right? Being for the in-group does not necessarily mean that you're against the out-group. Except insofar as the two clash, and they don't always. So there's a lot more nuance to racism than we sometimes give it credit for. Even if it's right, even in the case of the Elusive Man, in this case, we can point out how this is condemnable, or at least contemptible. Those are two different things, but both apply. especially because of where it leads, ideologically speaking, right? It leads to some much darker places. Once you start putting humanity's interests first above others, that inexorably will lead to several things. One, discounting others, and in that sense, then degrading others and going against them. But then also it can lead to a kind of by any means necessary sort of attitude, where you're willing to sacrifice anything that is not the in-group for the sake of the in-group, right? Which is where we get the issue of I don't want to spoil anything really, but where the Elusive Man goes wrong between this game and the next one. WizKid says it's like Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter debacle. Being for one should not mean being against the other. Yeah, that's very true, right? So you should be able to, right? You should be able to support both, at least the surface meaning of Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter, right? These two should not be in conflict with one another. However, they tend to, in reality, form into opposing groups that not only want to promote themselves, but also to destroy the other, because they see themselves as opposed to one another, and that leads to these sorts of conflicts that don't arise simply from the definitions of the terms. All right, so let's see if he knows anything about our crew, our old crew. Because of course that is, I mean, if we're talking about in-groups, right? That's kind of Shepard's main concern, and this actually brings us back to this whole feminine story structure, heroine's journey kind of thing that I've talked about before. That I think is really exemplified here, especially in Shepard's concern for her crew and her team. So let's see about that.
If this is a war, I'll need an army. Or a really good team.
I've already compiled a list of soldiers, scientists, and mercenaries. You'll get dossiers on the best of them. Finding them and convincing them to work with you could be challenging, but you're a natural leader. I'll continue to track the collectors. When they make their next appearance, I'll notify you and your team. Be ready.
Keep your list. I want people I trust. The ones who helped me stop Saren and the Geth.
That was 2 years ago, Commander. Most of them have moved on, or their allegiances have changed.
Where's Caden Alenko?
He's still with the Alliance. Promoted, I believe. His file is surprisingly well classified.
Okay. So this is, I think, like I've mentioned before, right? So the feminine hero, the heroine, is her team. The hero in a feminine story is the team that is united under the heroine. And it is the heroine who frames the objective and frames the story, frames the hero's journey for that team, right? And what kind of brings them in together in this kind of, if you want to go into the symbolism of it, kind of the nurturing embrace that brings together this disparate group of heroes who then become together the team that gets the thing done. She's group mom. Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Which is very different from the masculine hero's journey, the typical traditional sort of not Bruce Campbell. Oh my God, not Bruce Campbell. Joseph Campbell. Hero's journey, the hero with 1,000 faces kind of thing. Not Bruce Campbell. That's very different. The hero with 1,000 faces, where the hero is the single protagonist who is pursuing the goal. Right? Teammates are useful to the hero, but the hero is interacting with them rather than subsuming them and directing them. Whereas the heroine is the framing device for the team that's going to go on to victory. And this is again why I think that Shepard really should be FemShep, not BroShep. Right? And it's not just, like I said before, that I do think that Jennifer Hale does a better job voice acting than Mark Meer. As hard as that is to do a better job than Mark Meer, Jennifer Hale 100% does it. In addition to that, I really do think that Shepard being this sort of, as WizKid points out, this matriarchal figure that brings the group together, that keeps the group together, and that frames their their heroism, frames their journey, frames their quest, if you will. That role is played much better by a woman than by a man. So yeah, WizKid says the matriarchal figure who keeps the group together and saves the day through cooperation and coordination. Yeah, 100%. I think Dragon Age Origins is another key example of this. Inquisition as well. 2 less so. 2 I actually kind of see Hawk as a male protagonist. Or an incidental protagonist. The story's about him, but he's not driving it, that kind of thing. But yeah, Dragon Age Origins is very much like this. The whole goal of Dragon Age Origins is to come up with a group to find a plan. And then Dragon Age Inquisition, the whole thing is about forming this organization, the Inquisition, that group together with Divine Providence, which is a really cool thing. That group is then going to go and save the day. WizKid, she shepherds them. I think I kind of pointed that out sometime. Quite a few streams ago. But yeah, I think that there's a reason that her name is Shepard. And it's not just that she's named after John Shepard, the astronaut John Shepard. But that is also worth noting. It's part of it. Anyway. But yeah, that's I've said all of this before, but I do think it's absolutely worth emphasizing because I think it's a phenomenally done story structure, and it's one that the BioWare writers love doing, and they do it so well. Like I said, here and in Dragon Age, just to the same degree, and in Inquisition, maybe with that added element of sort of divine providence, that's quite unique. I do want to address that eventually as well, but I think, I'll just talk about it. We got time. Dragon Age Inquisition is a very different story from most games and most literature in general, because the protagonists are ahead of the antagonist. At every step, the protagonists find themselves victorious over the antagonist. The antagonist is on the run basically the whole time. John Shepard from St. Posting, or John Shepard from Stargate Atlantis. That John Shepard is spelled like John Shepard from St. Posting, not like Commander Shepard from here. But yeah, in any case, right? So the Dragon Age Inquisition's plot, it really feels like you are destined for victory, right? Because the Inquisition is ahead of Corypheus basically the whole time. Every time Corypheus does something, it turns out all the better for the Inquisition, even if the villain wins. The Inquisition wins through losing, right? So they really do a good job in that plot of making you feel like, in this case, the Maker is on your side. That the world is turning itself towards the way that it ought to be, and you're on the right side of things. And yeah, like you said, Hawk in Dragon Age 2 is definitely just the story of a guy who's at the wrong place at the right time, and a bunch of stuff happens, and he becomes a big hero figure. Which does not fit at all with the structure of the games, with the overarching story of the games, until you realize that he was supposed to be the protagonist of Dragon Age Inquisition, and Dragon Age 2 was a sort of lead-in story to Dragon Age Inquisition, but then no one bought Dragon Age 2, and because it flopped, EA said, nope, you need to come up with a new protagonist. You're not using this protagonist from a failed previous game. And that's why Hawk is not the protagonist for Dragon Age Inquisition, which is really disappointing. Anyway, again, production detail stuff that I follow a lot of this because I follow a lot about BioWare, because they're, like I said, especially classic BioWare, the older stuff like this, some of my favorite writing and some of my favorite development in general in video games.
Where's Garrus Vicarian?
The Turian disappeared a few months after you were declared dead. Even we haven't been able to locate him.
Where's Liara Tisoni?
She's on Ilium. My sources say that she's working for the Shadow Broker. If so, she can't be trusted.
What about Tali? She already helped us on Freedom's Progress.
That was unexpected. I need more intel before I'll commit to that.
Where's Erdnot Rex?
He returned to Chichanka, and he hasn't gone off-world in over a year. He's trying to unite the Krogan clans.
Okay, I get it. They're not available.
You're a leader, Shepard. You'll get who you need.
I'm still a Spectre. Maybe I can get the Council to help us out.
If you think you could convince them, by all means. Just remember, you've been gone a long time. Things have changed.
You worry about the collectors. I'll make sure my team's ready.
Good. 2 things before you go. First, head to Omega and find Morden Solus. He's a brilliant Solarian scientist. Our intelligence suggests he may know how to counteract the Collector's paralyzing seeker swarms.
Sounds good. And what else?
I found a pilot I think you might like. I hear he's one of the best. Someone you can trust.
Hey, Commander. Just like old times, huh?
Yeah.
I can't believe it's you, Joker.
Look who's talking. I saw you get spaced.
Got lucky, with a lot of strings attached. How'd you get here?
It all fell apart without you, Commander. Everything you stirred up, the Council just wanted it gone. The team was broken up, record sealed, and I was grounded.
See what I mean?
The Alliance took
Shepard
away the one
holding
thing
everything
that mattered
together.
to me. Hell yeah, I joined Cerberus.
You really trust the Elusive Man?
Well, I don't trust anyone who makes more than I do. But they aren't all bad. Saved your life, let me fly, and there's this. They only told me last night.
We'll have to give her a name.
Yeah. I really like the SR2, probably more than the Normandy SR1. I admit I like it better with Alliance colors. But damn, that's a nice, that fine ship. That's a fine ship. I'll also note it is a fine ship, and it's also like twice the size almost of the SR1, the previous Normandy. It's neat. In some of the Codex lore, you find out that the Alliance commissioned a bunch more of SR1s, and by the time of the war, by the time of the Reaper invasion, and Cerberus commissioned a bunch more SR2s by the time of the Reaper invasion. So neither Normandy is a unique ship by the end of the trilogy. There are several more SR1 class, Normandy SR1 class stealth frigates, and there are several more SR2 class stealth frigates. And that's actually one of the main things that we brought in with... that's one of the main things that we brought into our Mass Effect tabletop game was finding a couple of Alliance and Cerberus Normandy class frigates that were still in service 10 plus years later. WizKid, this is an interesting question. I know the answer to this question. This is some of my favorite world building crap from Mass Effect, so get ready for a tangent. WizKid asks, so why call it the Normandy? They ever go into that? Only in the Codex. It's standard Alliance naming convention. Alliance, Systems Alliance, Human Systems Alliance vessels, based on their class, based on their tonnage and their capital ship class, each division of ship has a different naming convention. So the Normandy SR1 and technically the Normandy SR2 were frigates. Alliance frigates are named after historical Earth battles. So there is the SSV Normandy, SR1, named after obviously the Battle of Normandy. There is also the SSV Agincourt, is another famous Alliance frigate. What was it? What was the Erica, you might remember this. What was the class for the Roncevaux? I can't remember. It's gonna kill me. But there's several. There are several of these that are frigate ship. They're frigates. So small capital ships. They're all named after historical Earth battles. I cannot remember what it was. If you remember, let me know in the chat what class it was. But yeah, they're all named after Earth battles. So we named our the Battle of Normandy. We named we used a frigate in our as our kind of hero ship for the that wasn't tours for our hero ship for our RPG, our tabletop game, and whatever class it was, the ship name was Roncevaux, which was one of the battles that Charlemagne won that helped unite Europe under his kingdom. Since the idea was that we were aiming to sort of reunite the galaxy, so naturally it was named after the Battle of Roncevaux, which was one of the key turning points in Charlemagne's quest to sort of unite Europe under his kingdom, empire, whatever you want to call it. But no, it was a blank class frigate. I forget what. It's gonna drive me nuts. I'll think of it eventually, and I'll just kind of shout it in the middle of something. Another example is that cruisers are named after cities. So you have the I can't think of any offhand. Yes, so that's why it was named that. I thought I told you about this. But yeah, cruisers are named after cities. I'm trying to think of what, like, there's a Tokyo class cruiser. There's a York class cruiser. Things like that. Dreadnoughts are named after mountains. So there is a Kilimanjaro class. There's an Everest class. There is a couple of other ones. But yeah, it's really weird. They're all the different types of Systems Alliance ships are named after Earth things. Whether that's battles in the case of frigates, whether that's cities in the case of cruisers, whether that is mountains in the name of dreadnoughts. There's something, I forget what carriers are. Oh yeah, carriers are scientists. Carriers are human scientists. So there's an Einstein class carrier. There is a Tesla carrier, I think. I might be wrong about that one. And then also corvettes. So smaller corvettes are named after mythological creatures from Earth mythology. So one of the key ones is a Blue Dragon class corvette. So hence the naming convention. There we go. Those are the only ones I know offhand. There are probably a couple of other minor ship classes. I think destroyers are a thing, but they're not really mentioned in the codex. So yeah. Other than the fact that there are such things. But yeah, that's how that's more or less how the various naming conventions work for the Alliance. So yeah, and they stick to it pretty rigidly as well, which is nice. I'm really glad to. It's another one of those tiny little world building things that once you notice it, like all of these minor little details just kind of fit together, and it feels holistic. It feels like the world is an actual world with actual substance to it. All right, so I got heavy weapon ammo, but I can't do it yet. I need to recruit a head scientist. That is Morden Solus on Omega. Got some credits, got some mineral, and we're done. So now we're back on the Normandy SR2. We got 20 minutes left, so we're gonna wander around to talk to everybody on the Normandy, and we're probably going to, if that doesn't take up the last 20 minutes or so, really. We'll let this play out while you can find out what it is.
Welcome aboard the new Normandy, Commander.
I've been looking over the dossiers. I'd strongly recommend starting by acquiring Morden Solus, the Solarian professor on Omega. We know the Collectors use some type of advanced technology to immobilize their victims. We'll need him to develop a countermeasure to protect us.
So I just looked it up. The frigate class I was looking at is called the Alamo. After the Battle of the Alamo, of course.
And without that countermeasure, we'll be helpless if we ever run into the Collectors.
Acquiring Professor Solus seems like the most logical place to start.
Who are you?
I am the Normandy's artificial intelligence. The crew like to refer to me as Edie.
Helmsmen aren't happy when someone takes control of a ship away from them. Especially Joker.
I do not helm the ship. Mr. Moreau's talents will not go to waste. During combat, I operate the electronic warfare and cyber warfare suites. Beyond that, I cannot interface with the ship's systems. I observe and offer analysis and advice. Nothing more.
I'm guessing it takes more than just the three of us plus Joker to fly this ship.
The Normandy has a full crew. They're at their stations awaiting your orders.
Final preparations for takeoff are complete, Commander. When you're ready to go, just pick a destination
Look at that
from
camera
the galaxy
angle.
map and the CIC and I'll plot a course.
Jacob and I should return to our posts. Come find us if you have any questions.
So you see what I was talking about with Miranda and the camera angles? Neat, a bunch of stuff. A relatively poorly laid out ship. Compared to the version of the Normandy we get in the next game. Neat. All right, so let's have a chat with everybody. We'll see what all is going on. But yeah, so the frigate class I was talking about was the Alamo. There is also there's a fan-made one that I was seeing called the Trafalgar, obviously named after the Battle of Trafalgar. So, you know, a lot of fan-made ship designs follow roughly the same conventions for similar reasons. But the Alamo is one of the canon ones. And we can do that, too. So it's nice and private.
Ever think we'd be working for the bad guys?
No, not really. Especially after they murdered Admiral Kahoku.
Can you believe this, Commander? It's my baby! Better than new. It fits me like a glove! And leather seats! Military may set the hardware standard, but on a first-gen frigate they could care less if the seats breathe. Civilian sector comfort by design.
The reproduction is not intended to be perfect, Mr. Moreau. Seamless improvements were made.
And there's the downside. I liked the Normandy when she was beautiful and quiet. Now she's got this thing I don't want to talk about. It's like ship cancer.
Enjoy it, Joker. If we're stuck here, we might as well let them pamper us.
Does it breach uniform regs if I get that on a cruise shirt? Because this is my favorite you have no choice ever.
Technically, this is a civilian ship. We're probably lucky you're still wearing pants.
Yeah, I'll save that for the off-hour cameras. Have an AI watching me 24/7. Insurance.
It's a fair point. Yeah, Joker does strike me as the kind of guy who would just fly a ship with no pants. Chill kind of dude, you know?
I'm Yeoman Kelly Chambers. I've been assigned as your administrative assistant. I'll manage your
Would you
messages
wink?
and help you monitor the crew. And I must say, it's such an honor to work under you, Commander Shepard.
I'm glad to have you on the team, Miss Chambers.
Please, call me Kelly.
Okay, Kelly.
Anything else?
Is there anything I should know?
You received a private message through Cerberus channels. I believe it's from Counselor Anderson. You can access it at your private terminal over there. Anything else, Commander?
Do you have a moment to talk?
I always have time for you, Commander.
What are your responsibilities?
I'll keep you notified of any messages or appointments you might have. If any of the crew has important business to discuss, I'll make sure you know.
Isn't that the type of task better suited for a VI?
Yes, but being your yeoman is just my official role. Unofficially, I observe the crew. Everyone knows how risky our mission is. Many of us may not be coming back. That's a lot of pressure. I have a degree in psychology. I'm good at sensing when people are overly taxed.
You make sure the crew's mental health is sound.
Yes. I look for warning signs. I listen. It's not a full-time job, and it's most effective when done informally.
We're lucky to have someone with your skills, Kelly.
Thank you, Shepard. What else would you like to know?
She also might be a spy for the Elusive Man.
This organization has a dark reputation. Do you have any concerns working for them?
Not at all. Our methods can be harsh, but Cerberus has noble objectives. We look out for human interests. Advance human technology, save human lives. They're good goals.
It sounds like Cerberus wants to dominate all aliens and put humankind on top.
Cerberus looks out for humanity, but that doesn't mean we hate aliens. My sister started a dog shelter, but she loved cats too. I love humanity. I also love Asari, Quarian, Turian, Solarian, Hanar. That isn't in conflict with Cerberus ideals.
So this is the sort of bright, fluffy, happy side of Cerberus, like we were talking about. Right, we were talking about this sort of distinction between promoting the in-group and hating the out-group, and these don't necessarily need to coincide. Kelly is the sort of the best side of that, right? The one who would, the kind who would promote humanity's best interests, but without denigrating the out-group. Right? Just acknowledging that there is an in-group rather than trying to expand the in-group to encompass the out-group. Excuse me, what's going on here? Kelly and the idealistic side of Cerberus just wants to promote the good of the in-group without disparaging what is outside. Right? Just acknowledge that there is an in-group, out-group distinction, work to advance the in-group while interacting peaceably with the out-groups. Right? That's, I think, the best side of Cerberus, and there's something to be said for that in terms of subsidiarity, right? So loyalty to what is closer to oneself rather than trying to spread oneself out and be sort of universally loyal to person kind in general, which is a very, very difficult ideal to actually implement, and it may in fact be impossible.
That's a very positive attitude.
What can I say? I'm a people person. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
See, yeah, people person. Like, persons rather than humans per se. It's just that, she happens to be a human, so she loves and promotes people from a human standpoint in a human way. And I think that is the biggest that's the brightest angle you can take for this kind of ideology and this kind of organization.
How do you feel about being assigned to the Normandy?
I was handpicked by the Elusive Man to help fight the greatest threat known to humanity. How do I feel? Honored, exhilarated, terrified. But mostly I feel encouraged. Under your leadership, we can't fail.
Don't worry. We'll defeat the Collectors.
I trust you implicitly. The moment I met you, I knew I could close my eyes, fall back, and you'd be there.
Your trust is well placed, Kelly.
I knew it would be. Thank you, Shepard. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
I better go.
Okay. Maybe we'll talk later.
So if you do flirt with her enough, she feeds your fish for you, so that's kind of nice. Alright, actually, let's head over here, because Jacob's up here in the armory. And so is the weapons locker. What do we got? Oh. I have no options. Okay, that's fine. Alright, let's see what Jacob's up to back here.
Commander, there hasn't been time to really settle in and take stock. I want to say that working with you is a great opportunity to do something that matters. It's a privilege to serve on the Normandy, Commander.
You may change your tune if we end up like the original Normandy.
Maybe. As long as the Elusive Man walks his talk, and you do the same, I'll do my best to make sure we succeed. That's been the condition for my service so far. I have issues with certain actions Cerberus has taken in the past.
What has Cerberus done to make you nervous?
A lot. They've been called terrorists, and with good reason. Doubt you can find a more checkered past. But if the Collector threat is real, and we do something about it, Cerberus will be remembered differently. Or we'll all be tried and executed. Can't count on people thinking about it as hard as I have.
Well... yeah, that's reasonable. That's plausible, and close to what happens.
I look forward to working with you, Mr. Taylor.
Likewise, Commander. Let me know if you need anything.
All right.
What's this area of the ship?
This is the FTL communications room. In addition to interfacing with the FTL comm network, Normandy is fitted with a quantum entanglement communicator linked to the Elusive Man's office. This allows lag-free communication even when you operate off the comm grid.
I've never heard of a quantum entanglement communicator. How does it work?
Essentially, two subatomic particles are created in an entangled state. One is installed here, and the other in the Elusive Man's office. When one particle occupies a given quantum state, its entangled partner will always enter the opposite state, no matter the distance between them. If we alter the state of our particle, that alters the state of the Elusive Man's. This allows us to send data in the form of quantum bits.
Okay, so really cool thing about this. Quantum mechanics developed in the time since this game. At the time this was written, this was an active technological speculation, right? They actually looked into the science of it, and this was a plausible interpretation of quantum entanglement, and this was a plausible application of quantum entanglement for technology, and so for faster than light communication. And so they put it into the game. Unfortunately, we have probably discovered since then that quantum entanglement does not quite work this way. That if you interact with one of an entangled pair of particles, they will, rather than it affecting the other one, they will disentangle. Apparently, as I understand it, which I don't quite understand it, but I think that's correct. So in any case, this doesn't quite work with real physics, but it was a really cool effort to put into figuring out a cool way of having an absolutely perfectly secure point-to-point communication. So, neat.
Why aren't these used everywhere?
Each quantum pair costs nearly as much as a comm relay, and can pass only one quantum bit of data at a time. In addition to the cost and bandwidth issues, the system is strictly point-to-point. To contact 100 different worlds, we would need to manufacture and install 100 entangled pairs, one link to each world.
That's all for now.
Logging you out, Shepard.
Worth noting, this was also a plot device that we used for a couple of different things in our tabletop. Because we were trying to reestablish contact with the rest of the galaxy.
Commander, there's a message waiting at your private terminal.
Yes,
I believe it's from Counselor Anderson.
I'll get to that eventually. But yeah, the part of the objective was to deliver a bunch of QECs, quantum entanglement communicators, to different areas, different parts of the galaxy, to reestablish contact with the Citadel.
She's a cutie. How old?
She'll be a year old next month.
Oh, you'll miss her first birthday.
Well, my family lives in New Canton.
Oh, that colony's on the edge of the frontier. Could be vulnerable to collector attack, couldn't it?
Exactly. It's most important that she have a first birthday. That's why I'm here.
Wait till the toilets flush in this one? Nah, you can't flush the toilets in this one. Only the next game can you flush the toilets. Which is a weird thing to try and do, but... as far as I know, Einstein didn't really have much to do with quantum entanglement.
Come on, Rupert. I'm sorry, Princess. Filet mignon and caviar coming right up. Let me just get out my doilies.
I think it was Feynman? Richard Feynman? I think that was his name. But I could be totally wrong about that. I'm not an expert on physics or the history of science.
Commander Shepard, the hero of the Citadel. You did humanity proud that day.
I love this guy.
Sergeant Rupert Gardner here. How can I be of service?
Do you have everything you need?
I make do. But have you ever tried to prepare a decent meal with military provisions? I'm good, but I'm no miracle worker. Taking down the collectors is going to be rough business. The crew deserves a few fine meals before they throw themselves into the fire.
What do you need?
If I had some quality ingredients... Oh, shit. You've got more to worry about than grocery shopping on the Citadel. Forget I mentioned it.
If I head that way, I'll keep an eye out.
Much appreciated. Most of this list is probably standard fare for those namby-pambies on the Citadel. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
What do you do here on the Normandy?
What don't I do? Most think of me as the ship's cook, but I'm also the facilities technician and custodian. HVAC, plumbing, non-mission critical electrical. I make sure they're all clean and running.
So the man cleaning the toilets is also preparing the meals?
I wash my hands. Most of the time. This ain't no luxury liner. You have to pull your own weight in a Cerberus vessel, and I catch what falls through the cracks. Through the cracks.
Okay. WizKid says, I remember reading somewhere about him being terrified by the implications of phantom actions over long distances, or something to that effect. Yeah, action at a distance has always scared physicists, mostly because Aristotelian physics doesn't allow for it, and each subsequent paradigm shift in physics only allows for action at a distance under really narrow circumstances.
Back to work.
One of the examples of it is like radio waves. Radio waves would basically scare the living hell out of any sort of pre-20th century physicist, because it looks like action at a distance, and that's basically impossible, or thought to be basically impossible. Action at a distance is always one of the spooky parts of it spooks physicists really hard. Hey, look who's back.
Commander Shepard. I watched the Normandy crumble with you on board. It's good to see you alive.
I'm shocked. You're serving on a Cerberus vessel now?
Surprising, even to me. Yet, here I am. The kind of trauma you endured would have changed most people. But not you, I see. Welcome back, Shepard.
Doctor, you've been with the Alliance for years. Why leave now?
After the Normandy was lost, the surviving crew was reassigned. I was stationed at the Mars Naval Medical Center, a very respectable position, but it wasn't on a starship.
Colonial military life isn't for you?
I've spent most of my life on warships, never knowing what the next mission might bring. I'm used to the hum of engines, the creaking of bulkheads, that subtle vertigo when the momentum dampeners kick in. Life planetside is just too static, too boring.
You're not the Cerberus type, Doctor.
I don't work for Cerberus. I work for you. On a mission that may be crucial to the survival of the human race. I have faith that your dealings with Cerberus will be ethical. I trust you, Commander.
I love Jacqueline. She's another of my favorite characters in the trilogy. A standout even in this game, which is just chock full of amazing, memorable characters.
There's a very good chance this mission will be a one-way trip. Are you prepared for that?
I've been through the reclaiming of Shanxi, the Skillian Blitz. We survived the Battle of the Citadel and the destruction of the Normandy together. I've lived a full life. No regrets. I'd like to make sure the crew gets the same opportunity.
Do you have everything you need?
I believe so. This medical bay seems very much like the sick bay on the original Normandy. Only thing missing are my private reserves. I even had a bottle of Ceres Ice brandy that I was saving for a special occasion.
I'll keep an eye out for a replacement bottle.
Oh, you needn't. It's expensive, and we have much larger concerns ahead.
I'll see you later, Doctor.
Commander.
But let's do that. Let's definitely do that. Hey, Miranda. Get ready for some camera angles.
Commander, what can I do for you?
Anything I should know regarding the Normandy?
The crew's working well, and the ship appears to be performing to specifications.
Do you have a minute, Miranda?
No doubt you've got a lot of questions. Cerberus isn't as evil as most people believe. If I can help allay any of your concerns, I'd be happy to do so. So, what would you like to know?
Are you military or political? Or both?
Cerberus has several divisions. Political, military, scientific, but we're all working towards the same goal. We keep our ranks and structure similar to the Alliance. A lot of our recruits started there, but not all Cerberus operations use the same protocols. We try not to get bogged down in bureaucracy or formality.
I know what we're doing here, but what's Cerberus's long-term goal?
The advancement of the human race. Nothing more, nothing less. The Solarians have the Special Tasks Group. The Asari have their legendary commandos for stealth and recon operations. Cerberus is humanity's answer to those organizations.
I mean, that's kind of nonsense, because it's an obscure little private organization with no oversight and no official sanction and no really anything. Unlike the other organizations, yeah, the humanity has the N7s, which are the elite special forces and Marines. Honestly, it's a nice way to look at things, though, I guess. And hell, who am I to complain about privatizing military operations, you know?
But those organizations are regulated by governments. Who keeps Cerberus in check?
Nobody. We're privately funded and our backers trust the Elusive Man to make the right decisions. But he's very clear about our goals. Protect humanity and serve its advancement.
What kind of resources does Cerberus have?
We're very well funded, though I doubt anyone other than the Elusive Man knows exactly how well. But our resources aren't unlimited. Reviving you and rebuilding the Normandy was a significant investment, and a significant risk. We're all hoping you can do the impossible, Shepard. No pressure.
What can you tell me about the Elusive Man?
Not much that you don't already know. Even I don't have access to most of his background. And you've seen more of him than most ever do. It's rare for him to become directly involved in missions, but you're something special. Whatever else people might say about him, I can assure you he's got humanity's best interests at heart. That includes you and me.
How can you be sure of that if you know so little about him?
I didn't get to where I am without knowing how to gauge people's motives and ambitions, even from brief encounters. He's no saint, and he'd be the first to admit it. But he is committed. Humanity couldn't have a better advocate.
Tell me about yourself, Miranda.
Oh, I guess that's fair. I've spent the last 2 years learning everything there is to know about you. Well, you should probably know that I've had extensive genetic modification. Not my decision, but I make the most of it. It's one of the reasons the Elusive Man handpicked me. I'm very good at just about anything I choose to do.
You certainly don't lack for confidence.
It's just a fact. My reflexes, my strength, even my looks, they're all designed to give me an edge. No point in hiding from it. It's the reason I'm trusted to oversee the most dangerous, risky, and technically demanding operations Cerberus undertakes. And it's why I was assigned to you. It's my job to make sure you succeed, Shepard.
What level of genetic modification are we talking about?
That's very thorough. Physically, I'm superior in many ways. I heal quickly, and I'll likely live half again as long as the average human. My biotic abilities are also very advanced. For a human. Add to that some of the best training and education money can buy, and, well, it's pretty impressive, really.
It sounds like you were designed to be perfect.
Maybe, but I'm not. I'm still human, Shepard. I make mistakes like everyone else. And when I do, the consequences are severe. Everyone expects a lot from someone with my abilities.
Thanks for the information, Miranda. I'll talk to you later.
Of course, Commander. Whatever you need.
Alright, so... yeah, genetic modifications. I mean, they technically are genetic modifications. It's just that there are aesthetic modifications as part of the genetic modifications as well. You know, it's there. There actually is some interesting background behind all of that comes up in some of the loyalty missions and comes back and becomes actually very important in the third game. One of the key missions involves her and some of her history coming back. But yeah, that is actually, maybe that's something we can talk about next time, because like I'm noticing, it is past midnight. So we are at the point where it is getting pretty late. So I think we're going to wrap up here for tonight. And next time we will continue on with some of our actual main story quests. We're going to head to the Citadel, then head to Omega. We will probably get to recruiting either Morden Solus or Archangel next time. If you have a preference on which to do first, I might put up a poll at some point so you guys can decide which one we want to do first next week, because we'll probably only have time to really do one of the two in next week's stream. So between now and then, if you have a preference, let me know. If you know who I'm talking, if you know who each of them are, if you know anything about them, feel free to allow that to inform your decision. Otherwise, we still have to explore the rest of the ship. There's the engineering level, and there is our private quarters to look at between now and then. So we will do that as well. And until then, Join me tomorrow night again for our Red Dead Redemption 2 stream. Play some Yeehaw Skyrim, as it were. Otherwise, I will see everybody tomorrow night. Or possibly, if not, I'll see everybody next week. Keep an eye out for a couple of other videos coming up soon-ish. We've got some editing to do, and we've got some even some further recording to do, that kind of thing. So, with that, I will wish everybody a good night. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.